Welcome everyone to the regular scheduled meeting of the Woburn City Council of May 19th, 2026. Before the meeting begins, if you can please silence your cell phones and note that this meeting is being recorded. And for those who are able, if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Higgins, if you can call the roll.
Councilor Mara.
Present.
Councilor Demers.
Present.
Councilor Dillon.
Present.
Councilor DeMambro.
Present.
Councilor Perullo.
Present.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Here.
Councilor Papalato.
Present.
Councilor Viola.
Present.
President Toro.
Present.
Make a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's journal and approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to suspend the rules to take the resolves out of order.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want, Councilor Dillon, would you like to call up?
Sure. No, if you want to come up and just say a couple words about the event before we get into the resolve.
This is the resolve for Kick It for a Cause, Inc.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Before I describe anything about the event, I would just like to extend my gratitude to all of you up there from the City Council. We've had your support for since we've started the event back 7 years ago. I remember the first year you guys started. You had a team. You were out there. You were doing the laps around the track, getting warmed up. It was a great time.
That was a really long time ago.
We got older. We got old.
Speak for
It
yourself.
happens, but you guys are still out there and support us every year, and we really appreciate everything you guys do for us and the support we've gotten from the city in general. For those who are not familiar with the event, just to give a little bit of a background, back in 2019, myself and my co-founder Sam Gary founded Kick It for a Cause, which is a charity kickball tournament that goes on in the city of Woburn every year with the goal of raising funds and awareness for suicide prevention and mental health. Over the past 7 years, we've raised about $50,000 and dispersed that amongst various different mental health organizations, including the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and last year we held the event in honor of Councilor Dillon's son, Sean Dillon, and donated our money to two organizations. One was the Professional Firefighters from Massachusetts Help Center, and the other was First Help, who are dedicated to providing resources to first responders and their families as it comes to mental health.
Thank you. When is the date of the event?
Yes, so our 2026 event is taking place on June 6th, and if anyone is interested, it's teams of 8 to 12, any age, any range, coming to compete in a kickball tournament, all for just a bunch of fun and a day of competition. So even if you're not interested in playing, we highly recommend that you guys come down. It'll be held at Library Park, and it'll start at 10 a.m.
Not to sound like a commercial, but how do they sign up?
You can sign up at our website, kickitforacause.org. It's a pretty simple form to fill out, and it's $30 per player.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noah.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor Dillon.
President Toro, if I may have a couple minutes of personal privilege. I know we have a busy agenda, but this is very close to me, and I'd like to express my gratitude to organizations like Kick It for a Cause. I'll give you a very brief story. When my son did pass away when he took his own life, part of dealing with that was setting up the funeral. And when we sat with my good friend, Father Capucci, he said, "We can handle this a couple ways, Jeff." My wife and I were sitting with him. He said, "We can do what they used to do in the old days and brush over the fact that he took his own life and do a typical eulogy. Or where I know I'm going to have a full house of policemen and women and first responders and other people that deal with the public and firefighters and high-stress jobs, I'd really like to touch on the help that's out there and that this is not something that should be having a stigma. This should be something that people who are struggling, there's so many resources out there." So he did a beautiful eulogy, and it was a beautiful mass. After about 8 months, a very close personal friend of mine came up to me, and he was about the same age as Sean, and he said, "Thank you." And I said, "What's going on?" He says, at your son's funeral, he said, I was at my darkest moment. He said, and because of how that was handled, I was able to seek help and get the medication I needed and get the guidance and the medical help. And he said, I'm doing great now. That was almost 5 years ago. And now he's married and has a baby and doing great. This is the type of work that Kick It for a Cause and other organizations do on a daily basis. So it gives me great privilege to be able to honor you all today and say thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas since 2019, Kick It for a Cause has turned the energy of community sports into a lifeline for suicide prevention. And whereas Kick It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Woburn and blends its purposes with the connections through signature kickball tournaments, scholarships, and tireless advocacy to break the stigma and save lives off it. And whereas Kick It has raised over $50,000 to support vital organizations such as American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, NAMI Massachusetts, BRYT First Help, and Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts Member Assistance Program, as well as awarding multiple scholarships to Woburn Memorial High School seniors. And whereas on June 6, 2026, Kick It will hold its annual kickball tournament at Library Park. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Woburn that the Woburn City Council recognizes the achievements and accomplishments of Kick It for a Cause and extends best wishes and hopes for continued future success.
Noah, would you like to come up? We can take some pictures real quick, and then we'll resume. Come on up.
Don't need my glasses.
I thought it was Christmas. I know, I checked my calendar when I got here.
Ready, 1, 2, 3, smile. Yeah.
Thank you, President Toro.
Oh, no worries. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have two more resolves to read this evening. Both are for members of the Woburn Memorial High School wrestling team. I will start with one, and then Councilor Demers will read the other. Whereas Maggie Campbell was the senior captain of the Woburn Memorial High School wrestling team that had an overall record of 22, 5, and 3 in 2026. And whereas Maggie was part of a two-girl team that was responsible for the top 3 finish out of 120 teams that had competitors at the New England Wrestling Championships. Whereas this was the first ever top 3 finish in the history of the Woburn Memorial High School wrestling program. And whereas Maggie finished 3rd place at 107 pounds, winning by pin in 3 out of her 4 matches with a 4-1 record. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Woburn that the Woburn City Council recognizes the achievements and accomplishments of Maggie Campbell and extends best wishes and hopes for continued success. Signed by all the members of the City Council. Congratulations, Maggie. Coach Rodriguez, we're going to do the other resolve, and then we can come up and do pictures.
Whereas Caitlin Castaldi was the senior captain of the Woburn Memorial High School wrestling team that had an overall record of 22-5-3 in 2026. And whereas Caitlin was part of a two-girl team that was responsible for the top 3 finish out of 120 teams that had competitors at the New England Wrestling Championships, the first ever in Woburn Memorial High School wrestling program history. And whereas Caitlin has many accomplishments, including 2025-2026 Boston Herald and Boston Globe All-Scholastic winner, the 2026 Lowell Holiday Tournament Girls Champion, first ever in program history, 2026 Lowell Holidays Girls Outstanding Wrestler, first ever in program history, Girls Division II State Champion twice, Girls All-State Finalists twice, Girls All-State Champion, Middlesex League All-Star twice, 2026 Middlesex League Girls Wrestler of the Year, the New England finalist with a second place finish, first girl ever in program history to make the finals, and the 6th ever finalist in program history. Now, therefore, be it resolved as City Council of the City of Woburn that the City Council recognizes the achievements and accomplishments of Caitlin Castaldi and extends best wishes in the hopes of future continued success. And that's signed by the members of the City Council. Congratulations, Caitlin.
Thank you, Jeff.
Ready, 1, 2, 3, smile.
Do we have a motion to adopt the resolve?
Make a motion that the resolve for Maggie Campbell be adopted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I will make a motion that the resolve for Caitlin Castaldi be adopted.
Second.
Second.
Motion, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to return to the regular order of business.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
First item on the agenda is a presentation of the fiscal year 2027 annual budget. A communication dated May 12, 2026 was received from His Honor, the Mayor Michael P. Concanon, as well as 2 letters dated today from His Honor the Mayor.
I'll make a motion that all the communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to suspend the rules to allow His Honor Mayor Michael P. Concanon to speak.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mayor Concanon, good evening.
Evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to present to you the fiscal year 2027 annual budget. I believe everybody has a copy of the budget as well as the accompanying budget letter. If you'll indulge me this evening, I'd like to read the letter into the record. President Toro, council members, I appear before you this evening to present the City of Woburn fiscal year 2027 proposed annual budget for your review, action, and approval. As has been the case the past few years, this year's proposed budget is the result of an intentional and collaborative effort amongst the various department heads in the city, the mayor's office, the city council, the school committee, and members of the financial teams on the city side and school department side. I extend my sincere appreciation to all involved for their hard work, their advocacy, their cooperative approach, and their willingness to work together for the very best outcome. I'd also like to take the opportunity to specifically acknowledge the incredible hard work of our auditor, Charlie Doherty, for his tireless efforts on behalf of the city at budget time and throughout the year. I know you all join me in that appreciation. The goal of this collective effort each year is to identify the actual needs of our city departments, those charged with providing the critical services to our residents and businesses, while also balancing the financial implications and burdens on the taxpayers of providing for those needs in a challenging economic environment. As always, the guiding principle of this year's annual budget was and is to try to maintain the level of service that our residents and visitors to the city have come to expect and rely upon, while being cognizant of the impact of tax increases on those who bear the burden of absorbing them. The budget team remains very mindful, as I know the entire city council is, of both the legal limitations of our state law, Prop 2.5, on a municipality's ability to increase taxes, and also on the practical ability of our taxpayers to afford any authorized tax increases. Our city's strong financial position vis-a-vis our excess tax levy capacity, which is essentially our legal ability to tax property owners more, cannot and should not be taken for granted. Woburn is better off than many of our neighboring communities, but that can change if we're not careful about how much of a tax burden we place on our residents and businesses, and if we're not careful about how close we get to the limits of our levy capacity. I know that the City Council shares this concern and will consider it as you perform your important work over the next couple of weeks. The proposed budget as presented to the City Council this evening represents a step in the process, but there is more work to be done. The City Council plays a critical role in the process and now has the responsibility to scrutinize the proposed budget that is in front of you. City Council also has the authority, if you see fit, to reduce the overall amount of the proposed budget by reducing certain department budgets and/or line item components therein. We look forward to the upcoming City Council Finance Committee budget meetings over the next couple of weeks and the opportunity to collaborate with you as you deliberate and ultimately determine the final fiscal year 2027 annual budget. The largest component of this year's annual budget, as is generally the case, is the cost of educating our youth. Collectively, the budgets of the Woburn Public Schools, the Northeast Regional Vocational School, and the Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical School District equal more than half of our total annual operating budget, with the Woburn Public Schools budget alone representing half of the city's annual operating budget. In preparing the Woburn Public Schools budget, we work closely with our school administration team and with the school committee. The school committee held a public hearing and voted to send their proposed budget to City Hall for review and inclusion in the overall city budget proposal. Their proposed budget was then reviewed by a combined city and school team consisting of the school committee chair, the superintendent and assistant superintendents, the school department finance director, city council president, city council finance chair, city auditor, and of course my office. Much like other city department budgets, the school department budget before you is not without compromises. It totals $99.5 million, represents a $3.6 million and a 3.73% increase over FY 2026. It includes a slight reduction from what was voted and approved by the school committee, but it does not contain any cuts in staffing or services from the current year. The main drivers in the increases to the school department budget include contractually obligated step and lane increases from previously settled collective bargaining agreement with school department employee unions, includes out-of-district special education placements, and increases in transportation costs. Another driver is the request for 3 additional staff members. The school committee and the administration will be present at an upcoming City Council Finance Committee meeting to explain their budget. It's worth noting that we're currently in negotiations for a successor agreement with the Woburn Teachers Association. A placeholder amount for the settlement of that agreement is included on the city side of the budget in the mayor's office salary adjustment line item. The city's FY 2027 annual budget also includes an increased assessment from the Northeast Regional Vocational School due to increases in operations and new school building debt. The Northeast Voc leadership team will be present at next week's Finance Committee meetings to further discuss this increase. The FY 2027 assessment at Essex Agricultural actually decreased somewhat over this year's amount. The city side of the FY 2027 annual budget also represents an increase, primarily due to the following factors. First, the city recently settled the outstanding collective bargaining agreements with 6 of the 7 city employee unions. We continue to work on settling the 7th union contract with the Police Patrolmen's Association, and as with the WTA negotiations, we've included a placeholder in the mayor's salary adjustment account for that purpose. Other factors driving the budget increase on the city side include a significant increase in healthcare costs for all city and school employees. We also experienced an increase in cost for retired city employees over last year, as well as increases for Medicare taxes and unemployment costs. We're also entering the final year of the trash and recycling contract, which includes increases due to prevailing wage increases, additional recycling tonnage, increased dumpster costs, and higher fuel costs. Another budget increase driver on the city side is the recent addition of 7 new firefighters, which was partially funded in the current FY 26 budget and which must now be fully funded going forward. The last 4 of these new firefighters are scheduled to graduate the Fire Academy in early June. This will allow us to staff the recently delivered and long-awaited second aerial ladder truck that was received earlier this year, restoring a level of service that once existed in the city for many years. Ladder 2 will specifically serve the needs of our growing northeast section of the city. In summary, the total general fund, school and city, proposed budget is $199,766,792.86 for a year-over-year increase of approximately $8.7 million or 4.57% above FY 2026 approved budget. The Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund proposed budget is $26,018,524.33 for a year-over-year increase of $3,178,690.85 or 13.92% above the approved budget for FY 26. This is primarily due to an increased assessment from the MWRA based on the increased usage of MWRA water during the construction of our PFAS water treatment plant over the past year. The proposed total annual budget is primarily funded by the tax levy and by water and sewer fees. It's partially funded by locally generated receipts, by state aid, and by state Chapter 70 school funding. We're anticipating a slight increase in unrestricted state aid and in Chapter 70 funding in the upcoming FY 2027 state budget, based on the recently released preliminary cherry sheets. But we have to await the final passage of the state budget to be sure. Our estimate regarding local receipts is guarded, as is our view of the city's FY 2027 residential and personal property tax base values. Further, the forecast for commercial and industrial property tax base values is again less positive, with the expectation that these numbers will be stagnant. With that said, it's imperative that we continue to identify opportunities for smart growth development so that we can continue to increase our tax base and to generate the additional revenue needed to meet the ever-increasing financial demands on our city's budget. The City of Woburn prides itself on our strong financial position, on our conservative revenue projections, and our realistic budgeting practices, as well as on our solid AAA bond rating, which, as you know, was recently reaffirmed by Standard & Poor's S&P Global Ratings. We also pride ourselves on the high level of services provided to our taxpayers and on the dedication of the department heads and employees who provide those services. This proposed 2027 annual budget reflects those values and priorities and is based on an honest and transparent assessment of what it takes to meet the needs of those who reside and work in our city. It's also based on a pragmatic assessment of the ability of the taxpayers of Woburn to afford the cost of those services. That's the balance that we're continuously seeking. We look forward to the upcoming Finance Committee budget meetings with each of the city's department heads and to the City Council's final determination of the FY 2027 annual budget. Lastly, I'll be submitting the proposed FY 2027 capital budget proposal to the City Council at your June 2nd meeting, and I look forward to reviewing that budget with you to garner your input and your approval. I thank you very much for your time. I look forward to the budget meetings. And if anyone has any questions at this point, I'd be happy to answer them, but I know I've given you a lot of information, a lot of numbers. Might take a little time to digest. Again, I look forward to the upcoming budget.
Thank you, Mayor Concato.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you. Make a motion to return the regular order of business?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that the budget and any impertinent documents be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that the matter is then referred to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is an order authorizing the mayor to develop a request for proposal for the disposition of real property by ground lease for the Wyman School at 679 Main Street.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Infrastructure and Public Land.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by Cambridge Sports Union for a special event permit for an orienteering event on June 4th, 2026.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is a petition by Lions Fuel, Inc. for a new inflammable license for 25,000 gallons of Class 2 heating oil stored solely in delivery trucks at 5 Hancock Street.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by Aaron Banker for a special permit under Section 5.1, subsection 56 for garage doors more than 8 feet in height at 108 Arlington Road.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by New Creek 2 LLC for minor modification to special permit dated November 13, 2014, to update condition number 1 regarding hours of operation to Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Saturday, Sunday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for a different tenant at 425 Washington Street. A communication dated May 12, 2026 was received from Nick Brown, owner authorized agent for New Creek LLC, and those are the communications.
Make a motion that the communication is received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that the minor modification be...
Do we want to, sorry, Councilor Mercer-Bruin, do we want to see if the petitioner wants to speak on the matter first?
To the council.
Can we have a motion to suspend the rules to
So
allow the
moved.
petitioner? We
Second.
got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is the petitioner in the audience tonight? Sir, would you like to come up and give us a little brief overview? Just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jonathan Posey. This is
Claire Crane.
my fiance and business partner. We are the tenants at this location, and we delivered the letter on behalf of the landlord. The address that we're at is 425 Washington Street.
What is the business, sir?
It's the Yard Gym, and that is a global franchise, but we're just going to be the small business owners of this one particular location. It's a physical fitness training facility, strength and conditioning with certified trainers.
Okay. Is there any questions from the council? No? Can we have a motion to return the regular order of
So
business?
moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Sorry, Councilor Mercer-Bruin.
I'd make a motion that the minor modification be granted. It's a
Second.
very similar use to what was there before.
We
Second.
have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. It's been granted. Congratulations. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by NSTAR Electric Company for grant of location west of Hollow Court and Main Street. A communication dated May 18, 2026 was received from Jackie Duffy, the right-of-way agent, requesting continuance.
Make a motion that communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion that the public hearing be continued to the regular meeting of the council on June 2nd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by NSTAR Electric Company for grant of location west of Campbell Street and Main Street. A communication dated May 18, 2026 was received from Jackie Duffy, the right-of-way agent, requesting a continuance.
Make a motion that communication is received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion the public hearing be open.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one,
Make a motion the public hearing be continued to the regular meeting of the council on June 2nd.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by NSTAR Electric Company, again for a grant of location for a service to 17 Presidential Way. A communication dated May 18th, 2026, was received from Jackie Duffy, the right-of-way agent, requesting a continuance.
Make a motion that the communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion the public hearing be continued to the regular meeting of the city council on June 2nd.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is petition by 102 Main Street for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 69 to allow for extension of non-conforming use for the change of use from a dry cleaner to a private gym at 102 Main Street. A committee report from the Committee on Special Permits was received, ought to pass with several conditions. 8 conditions.
Make a motion that the communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
We
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney Giuliano, how are you?
Very well, Mr. President. For the record, again, Attorney James Giuliano, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street, here in Woburn, on behalf of the petitioner, 102 Main Street, LLC. As you know, this is a special permit pursuant to Section 5.1, subsection 69. This did go to committee last week with the recommendation of ought to pass based on the 8 conditions that we are accepting at this time. So we would ask that the council approve the special permit based on the foregoing.
Any questions by the council?
Make a
No.
motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that the special permit be granted with the conditions as outlined.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the special permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very
Attorney
much.
Giuliano.
Thank you, Julian.
Next item on the agenda is petition by CB Silver for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 69, section 7.3, section 7.4, and section 15 to allow for the alteration of an existing 2-family non-conforming structure in the groundwater protection district at 43 to 45 Church Street. A communication dated May 11, 2026 was received from Attorney Joseph Tarby requesting that this be continued.
Motion to accept the communications.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
If I may just offer an update to the council, Mr. President.
Councilor Demers.
So I did have a community meeting with the residents of the neighborhood at the end of April. We got some feedback. Unfortunately, the petitioner's developer was out of the country due to a death in the family, so we've kind of pushed this off a little bit. I'm going to be having another community meeting with the contractor so that all the residents' questions are answered, and then hopefully having a department head meeting. So we're hoping to move on this relatively quickly, get this in special permits, and get some conditions going so that that blight in the neighborhood's finally addressed. So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one?
Make a motion that the public hearing be continued to the regular meeting of the city council on June 2nd.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by a Better Companion Dog Training LLC for a special permit under section 5.1, subsection 35 and 35B to allow for the operation of doggy daycare and overnight boarding kennel facility at 41 High Street. A committee report from the Committee on Special Permits was received, ought to pass, with several conditions. There are 12 conditions. Further communication dated May 14, 2026 was received from Attorney James Giuliano. And those are the communications.
Make a motion that communications are received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney Giuliano.
Mr. President, again, for the record, Attorney James Giuliano, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street, here in Woburn, on behalf of the petitioner. Again, just to clarify, we did get an ought to pass at the committee meeting. We did withdraw on the record section 5.1, subsection 35B for the record. So the special permit, we are requesting to be granted based on section 5.1, subsection 35 only, with regards to the kennel. So that being said, we would ask the council approve based on the foregoing.
Any questions from the council? Can we have a motion to withdraw the, without prejudice, the portion related to section 5.1, 35B?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
It counts. Papalato, I guess.
Did I go? Council I'm sorry, Council Papalato.
Yep. So I think we've vetted this thing out pretty good. We've been through a lot of the process here. We put a bunch of restrictions down, conditions on here. I feel comfortable that the owner, the petitioner, is going to follow through on what they say they're going to do, and if not, we'll deal with whatever follow-up happens. But I think she's done a great job, and you've done a great job presenting this and covering any of the issues that we've raised. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for working with us with conditions. I know they were sort of tough, but thank you very much.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one?
Make a motion that the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that the special permit be granted with the conditions as outlined.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the special permit, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much
Lionel, thank
again.
you.
Luck.
Good luck.
Next item on the agenda is petition by NHC Realty Inc., Cummings Foundation, for a special permit under Section 5.1, subsection 69, Section 8.2.5, Section 15, and to amend previously issued special permits at 21 Warren Ave, also groundwater protection district, excuse me. A communication dated May 9th, 2026 was received from Dr. Patricia McCauley. Further, a communication dated May 12th, 2026 was received from Denise McEwen. Further, not on the extended agenda was a set of letters compiled by New Horizons were submitted on May 18th, 2026. Further communication dated May 18th, 2026 was received from Eric S. Anderson, President of Cummings Properties, and those are the communications.
Make a motion that communications are received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Avini, how are you?
Well, thanks. Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Michael Levane. I'm an architect with Cummings Properties. With me this evening is Christine Coakley, the director at New Horizons at Choate, Eric Anderson, the president of Cummings Properties, and Dennis Clark, the chairman of Cummings Properties. So I want to very briefly just go through where we've been, where we are now, and where we hope to go with this project. On March 25th, we had a department head meeting. On March 30th, we had our first neighbors meeting, where we invited the neighbors into the facility at Choate to share with them what we were thinking in what we were proposing in advance of our city council meeting that we had here on April 7th. At the time we had that city council meeting, we had received comments and input from the department head meeting that we had again on March 25th. It was these comments, along with what we had heard from the city council and what we had heard from the community, informed some plan changes that were then resubmitted to the city clerk's office as a plan set dated April 28th. That is the set that you currently have in front of you. Some key changes between the first set and that April 28th set. We reduced the size of the project from 26 units to 20 units. We reduced the length of the building by over 12 feet. We reconfigured the southwest parking area to gain an additional 10 parking spaces on an existing paved parking area. And we revisited the architecture to be more consistent with the facade of the existing facility so that it all kind of blended nicely. On May 4th, we met with the New Horizons Choate residents and shared with them the project and what we were proposing to do. On May 6th, we had a second neighbor meeting, which was largely attended, again, in the facility. On May 11th, we had our first City Council Special Permit Subcommittee meeting, where we got a little more input from those folks. On May 12th, we had our second department head meeting. These recent meetings generated a few minor tweaks that we're going to make to the plans, the most significant being that we're going to include a landscape plan to specifically address some additional plantings along the boundary of the property, between the property and Dow's Lane, to beautify that area. So currently, we don't have the department head meeting, the department head letter, and we have to get to that to get back to the city council special permit subcommittee meeting to get back to you folks again, hopefully on June 2nd. So we're awaiting that first letter, and then we'll go from there. I expect that we're going to submit a new set of documents, including that letter, to the city clerk's office by noon on Thursday, so that we can continue this process. We anticipate, if we can submit this by Thursday, that we could potentially be on the May 26th City Council Special Permit Subcommittee agenda, and then be back before this group on June 2nd. So, all that said, I'm happy to run a presentation of what that package looks like that you have now. Well, we could, again, continue that to June 2nd. Alternatively, I suspect that there may be some members of the public here tonight who would like to speak on the project, or we could start answering questions from you folks.
Do you have any
I'm open
questions
to
from
whatever
the
you'd like
members
to
of the
move,
council?
we can move forward.
Council Papalato?
So I don't have a lot of questions, I have some comments. So at the last neighbor meeting that you had, it was a tough discussion, we went through a lot. I felt like you answered a lot of the questions, but I think there were a lot of things that were in the neighbors' minds still not resolved. I've chatted with you back and forth a couple of times to get some clarification. I feel like you've made some progress on these things, but I don't feel like all of the concerns have some of them haven't been raised and are addressed yet. So I'd like to hear from the neighbors, and I think we all will hear from the neighbors soon, around some of the issues and maybe some clarification on what their concerns are.
To the council.
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. For any member in the audience that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. I ask that when you do come up to the microphone, please make sure you speak into the microphone and direct all your comments to the council, please.
Evening, everybody.
Evening.
I'm Carol Donovan.
Hey, Carol.
I happen to live at Place Lane, which is one of the Cummings original properties. I'm here tonight to support this new project for independent living. And I've been involved with the current New Horizons since back in the 90s. I was a supporter of turning the hospital into the assisted living. And I had an opportunity. I was appointed as the trustee in the beginning, and I served for 6 years. And I had frequent visits at the current New Horizons. I found a sound management. I found a caring staff, and I found happy residents. And I expect the same thing, excuse me, from this new project if you approve it. There's a great need in Woburn for something like this, independent living. There are many young senior citizens, age 62 and over, who are straddled with their old homes. Their children have left, they're empty nesters. They need to have some place where they can go. They're sick of shoveling the snow, providing for the landscape, and the repairs of their old homes. This is an opportunity for Woburn people to enjoy their final years in independent living without all the worries of owning an old home. So I ask you to please consider voting yes on this when your final days, when you finish with all the other things that you need to know. Thank you.
Thank you,
Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. David?
David Crowley. I live on Water Street in Woburn, and I'll just echo many of the sentiments Carol said to speak in support of the project. I also had a chance to serve as a trustee at New Horizons, have had family stay there, and just they do an excellent job, as Carol said. And there's a lot of demand for housing in general and for seniors specifically, and this seems like a good opportunity to address that. So I would encourage you to consider supporting the project.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Lucero, and I live on Willow Street in Woburn. And I'm here as one of the 1 in 5 people in Woburn who are baby boomers. Woburn has 20% of their residents are baby boomers, and that's born between 1946 and 1960. And I really do support the project because I realize that we do need the housing. When the Choate Hospital was given the land by Choate in 1909, that land was primarily a farm. And what has happened over the years, as Woburn realized they needed a hospital to serve their residents, that is very important that we do the same now for a different group of residents. I can understand the concerns of people in any neighborhood when there's development, but Woburn hopefully will have a wonderful place for future residents like myself. Not that I might go there, but I do appreciate that. I think we should consider how important housing is for residents of the baby boomers. And the Cummings people have always stepped up and done the right thing. I have worked and been involved with many of their veterans at New Horizons, and I would appreciate your consideration to vote for the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Please be sure to state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Adriana Mendes Sheldon, and I've been a Woburn resident for 25 years. I'm here tonight just to also support...
Can you please state your address?
6 Michaela Way.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here tonight also to support the new expansion of the New Horizons. As someone who works closely with community engagement and community well-being, I believe this project addresses a very specific need for our elderly community here. Our elderly people need access to quality independent care, and currently 50% of the residents of the New Horizons are with deep roots in Woburn. And what we really appreciate, I really appreciate about this proposal that it builds on thoughtfully on already existing structure that is going to match and be beautiful. There are obviously concerns, but we need to understand that it is our responsibility to take care of our elderly and to do that with dignity so can have a great quality of life and be here in a community that's so dear to them. Thank you for considering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Again, just a reminder to state your name and address, please, for the record.
Good evening. My name is Peter Noonan. I'm president of Supportive Living, Inc. We own and operate Warren House at 17 Warren Avenue. We've been a neighbor of New Horizons for 30 years. Over those years, New Horizons has been an excellent neighbor, an important community resource for older adults. They've operated professionally, responsibly, and with compassion for the people they serve. Like many communities, there's a growing need for appropriate housing for seniors. Projects like this help address that need in a thoughtful and meaningful way. As a longtime neighbor, we support the proposed expansion and appreciate the positive role New Horizons plays in Woburn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this matter, please step forward.
Hi, good evening. I'm Donlyn Canella. I live at 11 Sturgis Street. I was going to open with one piece, but I really want to start with my concern is not a criticism of the great work that Christine Coakley and the staff at New Horizons do on a regular basis. It is so appreciated and fills a much needed niche for the aging population in Woburn. So I commend Christine and her staff and have heard wonderful things, and currently they are great neighbors. Where I'm going with this is my husband and I have proudly called Woburn home for the last 20 years. We are a very working class couple. My husband is a plumber, I'm a social worker. but we love this city and we want to stay here. I currently serve as an agency planner at an agency area on aging. And if many of you know Minuteman, Springwell, these are the agencies I'm talking about. In this role, I work on aging policy and housing needs across Massachusetts. Every single day I am at work, I hear from older adults and their caregivers about their struggles with rising housing costs, taxes, utilities, healthcare expenses, and the challenge of remaining in the communities they love, like Woburn. I think, Councillor Dillon, you were talking at the last public hearing about the housing production plan. It identifies several major housing challenges facing the city. An aging population, which we all know, rising housing costs, low vacancy rates, and a growing number of cost-burdened households. The draft notes that more than 3,000 households in Woburn are severely housing cost-burdened, meaning they spend over 50% of their income on housing costs. The draft plan also projects significant growth in the senior population, myself included, over the coming decades, and emphasizes the importance of creating housing that allows residents to age safely and affordably in the community they already call home. It specifically highlights the need for diverse housing options that are accessible and affordable to residents on fixed incomes. And if you guys have ever worked with older adults who are low income, fixed income is not assisted living. It's not $5,000 a month. It's simply they cannot afford to pay. I get very passionate about this. They cannot afford to pay even the $1,000 a month that they have to on subsidized housing. So this is not an issue of creating more housing. It's age-restricted housing is not automatically saying it's affordable housing. So I just am concerned that if we put up another development that's going to cause a lot of stress and just really hardship for the neighborhood and the people who live here, it's already a very congested neighborhood, we're going to have some issues for our long-term residents. And the housing production plan warns about the loss of naturally occurring affordable housing. And how do we sustain this? So I'm not here saying we shouldn't invest in housing solutions for older adults, but we really need to prioritize as a city what is true affordability, accessibility, and how do we long-term residents remain in the city as we age. So I really urge the council to carefully evaluate if what this project puts on this neighborhood is truly going to help those of us who are aging in Woburn be able to stay here and afford to stay here. So that's where I leave this. Please consider the impact this has on those of us who are working class, really want to stay here. I've told my husband, I'm never leaving 11 Sturgis Street. And how do we afford to do that? And it's creating housing that isn't going to take up the majority of our monthly income. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else in the audience like to speak on this matter? Please step forward.
Dear members of council and Mayor
Hey.
Concanon, my name is Jason Drudy and I live at 38 Warren Avenue, directly across the street from New Horizons at Choate. Our neighborhood is a residential neighborhood in Woburn made up of families, historic homes, and many long-term residents who care deeply about where they live, not an industrial park or a commercial area. Respectfully, this is the wrong location for this project. My family and many other residents chose to purchase homes in this neighborhood because of the existing character, zoning laws, and the protection they were intended to provide. Like many residents, we made a significant financial and personal investment with the understanding that Woburn zoning ordinances would be enforced consistently and fairly. The zoning bylaws and the groundwater protection district were established by past city councils to protect Woburn's infrastructure, water systems, drinking water, and the character of residential neighborhoods. They were also intended to provide residents with the confidence that developments like this would not be introduced into established residential areas. This project does not fit this neighborhood. Granting a special permit for a development of this size and density in such a small area raises an important question. If zoning regulations can be simply overridden through a special permit, then what purpose do they truly serve? If this project is approved, residents throughout Woburn will understandably question whether zoning protections can be relied on at all. This concern becomes even greater because of the proposed project is located within Woburn's protected water area on elevated land that drains toward Horn Pond. Regardless of the proposed stormwater systems or runoff controls, a project like this, an increased density, could permanently alter the natural flow of water through this property. Once natural drainage patterns are changed, there is no guarantee that the long-term impacts to the watershed can be fully prevented or reversed, and contamination reaching Horn Pond remains a possibility. Through their past presentations, including the special permit meeting held on May 11th, many aspects of the proposal have been very misleading. The project was originally framed as an extension of the existing elderly care model, leading the community to believe this would be the same offering. I did not see plans showing a heated, weatherproof connection between the buildings to allow residents access to meals and those services during winter months. The buildings do not even connect. The proposal later shifted to condos. After negative public reaction and concerns the condo model faced a greater risk of denial, the proposal shifted back to apartments while requesting the flexibility to change business models in the future without restrictions. This is a bait and switch. Gain approval under the elderly care model, then later convert the project into something entirely different. Let's call them what they're intended to be, condos. They are 2-bedroom, 2,000 square foot luxury condos that they're disguising under what's already there. It is not the same model. We have serious concerns about traffic, parking, density, and the neighborhood impact. Warren Avenue is already used as a cut-through street with daily speeding and should have speed humps, but cannot because of choke. The area is in a school zone of St. Charles, has one-way streets, bus stops for other schools, and children who are out regularly walking, riding scooters and bikes as they should be in a residential neighborhood. The projected traffic impacts appear understated, given the potential number of residents, visitors, staff, delivery, and emergency vehicles associated with the development of this scale. We do not need more. Approving this project would also establish broader precedent for neighborhoods throughout Woburn. If 20 luxury condos can be approved within a 2-family residential zone through a special permit, what prevents similar proposals in other neighborhoods? What prevents developers from purchasing multiple residential lots, demolishing existing homes, and seeking higher density projects within existing neighborhoods across the city? If this is allowed in our neighborhood, then this could happen in your neighborhood and in your neighborhood and all of your neighborhoods. Approving these condos, these luxury condos, would send a message that zoning protections no longer provide residents with meaningful certainty about the future character of their neighborhoods. As a reminder, my family has already experienced $30,000 in damage to our home under the current state of the area's infrastructure. Other residents have poor water pressure under the current state of the area's infrastructure. What happens when an additional 20 to 40 residents, along with staff, increased laundry, dishwashers, cooking, are added to an already stressed system? We are already experiencing many problems in these areas today, and we do not need more. The project would be detrimental to our neighborhood. It is not currently allowed, and it should not be allowed through a special permit. In less than 1 week, over 110 individuals signed a petition, joining some of the folks in the room tonight and myself to respectfully ask the members of council to uphold the intent of zoning regulations, protect Woburn's watershed resources and residential neighborhoods, and please deny this special permit request. Please continue protecting this area the way that it has been protected since 1990 and for the years to come. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Any other members in the audience that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Yep, come up to the microphone, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no worries.
I'm sorry, I've had a little trouble hearing, and I wasn't
No
sure.
problem. Just state your name and address, please, and speak into the microphone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay. My name is Martin O'Donnell.
I am a resident at New Horizons. I have been there roughly 4 months, a little over 4 months. I've moved from quite a distance to get here, namely 4 miles from Winchester. And I have found many people I know, both from Winchester and from Woburn, in New Horizons. It is definitely a local enterprise if you count the total number of people and the number of them from Woburn. I've looked into the background of the New Horizons and the people who founded it, and it's an extraordinary story. And I was amazed that I didn't know more about it before. I knew about the Cummings before I came here, but I learned quite a bit more by being here, and quite a bit just from being here alone and talking to the other residents. The Cummings Foundation is the owner of the properties here and that we're talking about. And it was a foundation set up by Bill and Joyce Cummings to do good for the people in the truest sense, to help aging populations and to help underserved minorities. They not only have set up 2 major enterprises for the elderly and to take care of them, namely the New Horizons at Choate and at Marlborough, but also have donated to many other enterprises, such as the Franklin School of Technology in the South End, which had been largely attended by the black people, but they did not have enough funds to do the effective job. Cummings poured money into that. It's extraordinary. The Cummings Foundation was set up by assets donated by Bill and Joyce Cummings, and that's it. They didn't go out for public solicitations. Bill made his monies and decided that he had to help the public, and that's what is going on now. I can understand the concerns of the present residents when any operation comes in to expand the usage of their neighborhood. But that's going to happen. Whether we like it or not, it's going to happen all over the place as the need for housing grows. I've heard multiple references from the prior speaker about luxury housing. I don't know anything luxury about this. It's these units, the proposed units, there's about 20 to 22 of them. That's what we're really talking about. 20 to 22 apartments in a substantial large area that is already owned by the Cummings Foundation. That's it. They're not going to overwhelm the traffic or anything else like that. Go out and look at the place sometime, anytime during the day. Take a walk through in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. There are a lot of parking spaces. I've heard a lot of concerns, and you will hear more concerns from residents of New Horizons, like about the parking spaces and who is going to be displaced. This always happens with any new project of any kind. But if it's going to happen, isn't it the best thing that it happens under people who are genuinely concerned with the community, who have given so much to the community throughout their lives and continue to give? They don't make any profit from this. And I don't think they're building luxury apartments because that's not in the nature of what they have done. They're apartments for people that maybe need a transition from what they have now to smaller housing and ultimately maybe into New Horizons or maybe into some other places, independent living or even assisted living. But they're not luxury in any sense of the word. And they're not making profit for the Cummings Foundation at all. So it's extraordinary. People in Cummings itself, I've heard, in the New Horizon, excuse me, I've heard concern about the parking spaces and who's going to be displaced and how many. There are several hundred parking spaces, in that property managed by Cummings Properties and owned by the Cummings Foundation. There are 113 apartments in New Horizons. We're talking about adding maybe 20 to 22 to that. There are 33 cars owned and used by the current members of New Horizons. We're talking at the most of adding 20 to 22 cars, assuming every resident into the new properties has a car, and that's it. And I had a number of questions. When I heard these questions about the overload in the parking spaces and what's going to be the impact on the schools and other facilities there, I went up to Cummings Property and talked to one of the managers in there to try to get behind it and make my own judgments. Now, I'm not an architect. I am an engineer, but in a very, very different field, and a lawyer also. But I didn't need those to talk to the Dennis Clark, who runs Cummings Property, and get some answers as to what's going on. They have a highly motivated and well-structured department to design, to build, to supervise, to maintain. This is all in one enterprise, Cummings Properties, which is the enterprise that runs New Horizons and will run this new building, etc. It's extraordinarily well organized, well run. And Cummings Property doesn't make a penny of profit on any of these. Whatever the properties in Cummings Property, and there are other properties, some commercial properties, etc., they do not make any profit from the New Horizons and the proposed company. In fact, it's a loss. They subsidize it to the extent of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Their purpose is a charitable purpose. It's not a commercial purpose. And they don't build luxury buildings so that they or others can live the luxurious, wealthy life. They have the money. They could live it. They could outdo George Soros or any of the well-known millionaires, billionaires, Tesla, or anyone on either side of the political spectrum. But they don't do that. What they do is very, very quietly go about looking at these needs, not opportunities, these needs of the local community. Go into Cummings. You'll probably find many of your neighbors or acquaintances in the New Horizons, because a large percentage are from Woburn, this local area. So they are out to help the community. And yes, it will have some impact. I suppose it's like going up to up to Leahy Hospital and saying, gentlemen, you may not build any or accept any new patients because we have to wait too long, and if you accept more patients, it's going to make us wait longer. So we demand that you stop, not allow them to accept any more patients. That's not the right thing to do, and it's not the way you help people. This organization, the Cummings Foundation and Cummings Properties, is about helping people, and that's what they are trying to do. They are competent and capable. They know the impact it will have on various populations, and they will minimize any adverse impact. And they listen to your comments and complaints. I would strongly urge approval of this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell.
Anybody else? Yes, City.
I just want to let people know, I heard a couple comments about not hearing. We have some hearing assistant devices up here. You can just turn it on and put the headphones on so you can hear it amplified, okay?
Thank you. Again, just a reminder, state your name and address, and please speak into the microphone. You can adjust
Hello,
that.
everyone. I'm Dr. Mary Jane Doherty. I'm a resident of Woburn for 20 years. My extended family and my ancestors have lived here since the middle of the 19th century. I think the Cummings Foundation, which is a great benefactor to the city, has honored the city's history with another act of imagination, and I mean that in a positive sense, facing social needs. My understanding of Woburn's history and what I've heard from my parents and other relatives is that the city has, over decades, demonstrated a social awareness in response to needs for continuity and needs for change. It's a both and, not an either or. Now, I don't often come to city council meetings, and I only recently heard about this project, and then I began to look into it. And frankly, it elated me, not only because of my generation, but because of the thought that is going into it regarding the provision of a variety of types of housing and social connection. Anybody who knows anything about aging and places for people who are aging knows that you go from independent living, maybe to assisted living, maybe to nursing care. And we're just learning, really, in this country, how to respond to that reality of being a human being. I'll end with this. The last time I came to a city council meeting was a couple of years ago, and there was a very heated meeting about proposals from Eversource. It went on and on. Many of us spoke, and I did too. Toward the end, I'm an old English professor, and I like to have the conclusion punchline, maybe. Anyway, this was also a keenly felt neighborhood issue and what people sometimes call NIMBY, because they were going to be digging up main streets to lay pipelines. But the reality was the electrical grid had to grow and make other connections. Now, the council responded to a very strong NIMBY response, which was appropriate, I think, in that circumstance. And it's my understanding that in subsequent years, the city continued to work with Eversource, and we came out to another conclusion where they were still able to accomplish the goals of expanding the grid. That's the way to go. And the remark I made that night to the representatives from Eversource was simply this. I said, I think Eversource has not exercised its imagination. The Cummings Foundation is doing it as a community kind of organization and business in this town, and I have the trust and confidence in the local government who will respond accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Doctor. Anybody else like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Phil, you can lower that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Thanks. My name is Victoria Massaro. I'm a lifelong resident of Woburn. My father...
Can you state your address, please?
Pardon me?
Your address?
21 Warren Avenue.
Thank you.
Sorry. I've been there almost 5 years. They've never raised the rent. They don't raise it once you move in. And I figured out that all the bills that I had in my house weren't any more than what I pay up at New Horizons for no grocery shopping, no cooking, no cleaning. I grew up 2 streets over from New Horizons on Lawrence Street, and so did my father and my grandmother and my great-grandmother. So I go back to Woburn a long time, and I don't think this will hurt the neighborhood at all, from what I saw of the plans. And like Martin said, everything he said was, and the traffic, yes, we can't keep it from cutting through from Main Street to Pleasant Street. But there isn't much we can do about that if they know the cut-through. And I don't think, I'm sure Cummings has figured out, or the architect, all the other problems that you might run into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Michael Sheridan. I live at 21 Warren Avenue, very well known as New Horizons. I live with a number of people that are here. Some have spoken, some will speak tonight. Come tonight to talk about the news that Cummings Properties has elected to chose a site to build adjacent to our existing building, which we welcome. The questions that I have tonight specifically would center on the architectural map and some configuration questions relative to the amount of space available for the residents. I know it sounds simple, to park their cars. If you look at the ages of the people in New Horizons, they're not your ages. Add 10 or 15, maybe even 20 years to your age, and that's where you probably start. I had a brain injury 2 years ago from an electric bike, and I was forced to make a decision to go through a year of therapy in 4 different hospitals, and the outcome of that was, what are you going to do then by my kids? And I came to New Horizons 2 years ago. I have never been so welcomed by anyone, even my relatives, and this family. I'm telling you, it's a true experience. I hope it's appropriate for me to say this, but we'd love to have you invite you over individually or collectively for lunch or dinner, a bite to eat. We have a relatively new chef over there after one that retired for 30 years. And my 35 years in the food business, I feel like I'm home. You've got to come over. So, that being said, the issue I'm standing here to come to the point is about the parking spaces. It's a little bit early to say that I'm looking on what I'm going to do when I stop driving. I'm not going to stop driving. I told my own children, I'm keeping my vehicle. It's coming with me. When I go, it goes. Right? I'm not kidding. The truth of it is that the issue of the architectural plans, and I'm not being critical of that, they have a profession, don't leave enough space for the residents that have vehicles now. They're cutting them short. There's a drop-off of the new maps that are proposed with the architectural plans that have been presented, and that's why I'm here. Because a number of people over the dinner table and the meeting that happened in the past 2 weeks, which was a very nice presentation, in the small print, the number of spaces went from 23 to 14. You try telling someone in your family who's 80 years old that they're not going to be able to go to their car anymore, that it's going to be moved over to a quarter mile away. Yes, year-round. But what? You can't sell that idea. So I hope it's a misunderstanding. I hope it's something that is a variable. I'm presenting it to here as something that hopefully will spur another look at this. This is a very fine area. Parking spaces, no. People's dreams, people's functioning, people's mental health, people's being depends on being able to move beyond the 4 walls of what is called an apartment, which is a one-bedroom apartment in 90% of the cases. Think of yourselves. What would you do? That's why I'm here tonight. I ask you to please take that under consideration and help us get to the bottom of it. The numbers are 23 spaces now, chopped to 14. This is a legitimate discussion that happens at the dinner table, lunch table, and that's why I came tonight to communicate that to you. We don't know what to do. And we're concerned, and they're very concerned. Please help them get a New Horizons kind of lifestyle going and not worrying about how to go to the drugstore or Market Basket or go out just to get out, to get to walk the beach. All right? We have a bus that drives us around to special destinations, but they're independent. They like to go out just to go out. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Hi there. I am Victor Skoronsky, and I am a resident of New Horizons, apartment 272. Previous commenter stated that this new addition would change the style of the community because there's so many single-family resident homes, and that's kind of forgotten that just on the other side of New Horizons is the Warren House, which is a facility housing many people with brain injuries. On the other side of them is another house which looks like it's been converted into an apartment building, and behind it there are several duplex homes for theirs. Also, if you look around, you'll find that there are many two-family and some three-family homes on Warren Avenue. So again, we're not really changing the style of the residencies and there. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. For the record, my name is Alessandro Canella, and I live at 11 Sturgis Street. And for those unfamiliar, this proposed development is directly behind my home. So I can hear it and I can see it, so I will be directly impacted by anything that goes on in that neighborhood. I'd like to begin with one simple statement. I am not anti-development. I am simply pro-neighborhood. I'm here to ensure that the voices and concerns of the surrounding residents are heard, we are acknowledged, and properly considered when making your decision. This project is approved, it must respect the safety standards, zoning protections, infrastructure, and neighborhood character that the residents rely on every day. What is being proposed is not a minor addition or a simple renovation. It is a new 3-story, 20-unit building with units ranging from, the last numbers I heard were from 700 to 2,500 square foot units. That is a significant development with long-term consequences for an already dense residential neighborhood. Because of that, this decision cannot be rushed or treated as routine. It deserves a careful and thorough review of the potential impacts, including traffic, parking, drainage, density, public safety, and the long-term effect on the character of the neighborhood. Through my wife's work with older adults and the elder services, I understand how valuable those programs are and how important senior housing can be. This is not about opposing that mission. It is about making sure that growth is done responsibly, transparently, and in a way that fits the surrounding neighborhood. I understand that cities evolve and that development is necessary, but growth works best when it respects the realities of the neighborhood surrounding it. I'd like to briefly outline a few areas of concern. The first, the parking. They are seeking parking relief. The developer suggests that on a regular basis, there are upwards of 60 open spaces. I've driven through that parking lot several times, and I just don't see it. Councilor Viola, you actually brought this up during one of the city council meetings. Your own words, you mentioned the parking as being very tight and always packed, and you even referred to it as a nightmare. I agree. I have serious concerns about the parking, especially during the winter. Just think about it, what happens when there's a foot of snow, 2 feet of snow, 3 feet of snow, and you don't have a chance to remove the snow off the property. It may not be an issue all of the time, but it could be an issue some of the time. The burden of overflow parking should not fall on the neighbors. Because of that, I am formally requesting that the council require an independent third-party peer review of the parking situation. We should not rely solely on studies provided by the developer when determining whether surrounding streets may face overflow parking issues. Second, the groundwater protection district. We sit within a groundwater protection district. This is not simply a neighborhood issue. It is a community resource issue that affects all of us. Additional residents, construction activity, stormwater runoff, and again, a 20-unit building will create long-term environmental and drainage concerns that will be difficult and extremely expensive to address once a problem appears. So again, I am requesting a third party be brought in to oversee any pre-construction work as it relates to the water table. We can't rely solely on what a developer says. Third, the long-term use of this building. We still lack clarity on whether these units are intended to be condos or apartments. The developer continues to request flexibility, but that flexibility makes it difficult for us residents and the council to fully evaluate the long-term impact of this project. At earlier hearings, and Councilor the Mayor, as you actually brought this up at the special meeting a week ago, the project was initially described as an extension of New Horizons and discussed in the context of senior housing. That quickly changed. Over time, the description evolved in terms like feeder program and later gateway program. And during the first city council meeting, when the first mention of condos came up, the city council, rightfully so, you pushed back and you asked for clarity. You didn't get it. All you got was, we don't know yet. And again, last week at the Committee on Special Permits, Councilor Amara, you pressed again on what the long-term plan for ownership and occupancy. The response continues to be uncertainty or request for flexibility. And this is why it matters. Apartments, they are generally owned and managed by a single entity with centralized oversight. You have a bad tenant, you simply do not renew the lease. A landlord can restrict the number of occupants, they can restrict the number of cars. A single owner apartment building is simpler, more centralized, and more predictable over the long term. Condominiums are fundamentally different. In this case, you essentially have 20 owners with 20 different opinions. They involve individual ownership, and over time, that can affect pocket demand, resident turnover, rental activity, investor ownership, and overall neighborhood stability. I am simply asking for transparency. Flexibility for the developer should not come at the cost of uncertainty for the neighborhood. Fourth, the visual impact on the neighborhood. This building, no matter what anyone says, will significantly alter the skyline and sunset views along Warren Avenue. Some may view that as minor, but for many residents, those neighborhood qualities matter. They contribute to the character and feel of the area that we chose to live in. And finally, public safety and city services. Adding more than 40 new residents to an already dense neighborhood will place additional demand on police, fire, traffic, and first responders. I believe it is reasonable to ask whether the current infrastructure is prepared to absorb that impact. I would encourage the council to be cautious about approving projects based on undefined future flexibility. Flexibility may benefit the developers, but we deserve clarity. Approving major projects without clear long-term commitments will set a precedent where future developers seek broad approvals first and they define the details later. This neighborhood deserves transparency. It deserves careful planning. And it deserves a project that fully respects the people who already call this area home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'll try to keep it short. John Heslin, 36 Clinton Street. I work for a nonprofit that provides residential services to developmentally disabled folks. And our first house was that we purchased before my time was in 1973 on Warren Ave. It was under my I was in charge of it for about 17 years before we moved. And in that 17-year period is when the sewage issue occurred. I've heard a lot of different concerns by the neighbors, and the sewage, obviously, I don't think I have to describe anything. That's a serious issue. I believe at the time it was addressed by the city, so I wouldn't expect it to happen again, but I certainly would like to know that the city, whoever it is, DPW engineer, all the whatever relevant city government folks would sign off on this as not being detrimental. The same goes for the wastewater. That's a perfectly legitimate concern, and we should make sure it's done right. But some of the things being raised here, I share the concern about affordability in the city of Woburn and all of Massachusetts these days, especially the Northeast area. I don't know that that's a simple problem that you folks can solve, or any of us can. And certainly not every project can solve every problem. But it's just, the reality is building less isn't going to solve the problem. The other issue is when someone said it's a bait and switch. The New Horizons is a great benefit to the city, and they've been doing that for 36 years. And in those 36 years, they have developed a reputation, and it's not a bait and switch reputation. So I don't think that's fair at all. The reason our organization moved was because the women who we were serving in that program, it was an old Victorian, they got older, and they could no longer take, they were starting to no longer be able to, they had some mobility issues. So we had to move. We didn't like to move, we liked the building. But things change, times change, people change, and our needs get greater. And places like this that are being built address that. And I, for one, am happy they're coming in front of you with this proposal. I hope they can work out all the details that are legitimate issues. They seem willing to do so. And the other part, the concern that if it happens here, it could happen in your neighborhood. Well, I stood in front of you guys about a little over a year ago. Well, actually, I wasn't in front of you. I was away. I was in favor of a non-senior housing in my area. The housing production plan describes a lot of issues that we have to face as a community. We can't keep looking at these things in terms of my neighborhood, your neighborhood. We have to do it together, and we have to be willing to add development, to add housing in all areas of our city. It doesn't have to be, we're not talking about Davis Square 26-foot and 26-story buildings, but this is a 20-unit building, and it seems perfectly reasonable to me to be in that area. Anyway, so I support it. I assume there'll be more discussion and some of the neighborhood concerns are going to be ironed out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John.
John.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
How are you?
Good. So I'm Dan Bradley. I live across the street, 34 Warren Ave. So I will be looking at this new building if it goes up. So this is important to me. Kind of outlining what I said previously and echoing some of my neighbors' sentiments. I guess number one, some of the concerns, this is a groundwater protection district. So in the research I did, it says that you require a compelling justification to overcome that or to justify, getting a special permit. I'm not sure that's what has been satisfied. The purpose, to me, still seems that it's going to be for profitability, not an extension of New Horizons. And that goes back to that transparency theme, that the original letter we got as neighbors just said this was a modest expansion of the congregate elderly housing program at 21 Warren Ave. But that's not really the case. Now the theme is independent living, no guarantees. We don't want any ability to not be able to change it in the future. That's concerning because in the future, we might have to deal with someone other than Cummings Properties. So that's a big issue. So I still see this as going condos, some type of private apartments. Long-term, that's very concerning. Also, with that groundwater protection district, I don't understand fully what the law is, what's required. So I think a third-party review, maybe a presentation on why that area was designated groundwater protection, what we would need to support or approve a permit here, and why would we do it, and why wouldn't we do it? I think that analysis needs to be done as part of this if we're going to move forward. Density concerns are huge. I think traffic, the street again is a cut-through. Parking is an issue. People speed on the street all the time. I'm out there every day. So that is a concern. There's a lot of kids that walk by. There's a Catholic school down the street. People are coming up. So that needs to be considered. Impact on utilities. I guess I'd have to look at the new plans in terms of the water, sewer, gas, and electric. Also some, that's an issue. Maybe an independent analysis needs to be done with that. So I just don't want chaos, disruption in my life. I treat that area pretty well. I want peace. I think that this is just going too far. And there are other options for housing in the city that are being built. There's other places you can put it. This is just not a simple extension of the existing, assisted living care that's provided at New Horizons. It's kind of like executive suites to me, if you look at the plans. So those are concerns, and I hope that you guys will all consider them as part of your continued review.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak on this matter, please step forward.
Good evening. My name is Janessa Drudy. I live at 38 Warren Ave. I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to the proposed 20-unit apartment complex in this residential neighborhood. I'm also not here to disregard the valuable work New Horizons has provided the Woburn community. However, zoning laws exist for a reason. They are not arbitrary. They are put into place to protect neighborhoods, preserve the character of residential communities, and ensure thoughtful, sustainable development. If we begin making exceptions every time a developer presents a proposal that sounds appealing on paper, then what is the purpose of zoning at all? This is about much more than one building. This is about precedent. If a large multi-unit complex can be approved in the middle of an established residential neighborhood, what stops the next one and the next one after that? What message are we sending to residents across Woburn that any neighborhood can become the next site for a large-scale commercial-style development? We are being told this is intended for elders, but how do we know this will remain the case? What legally enforceable protections are in place? Will there be a minimum age requirement, a maximum occupancy per unit? What prevents these units from eventually becoming general housing? These questions I don't think have been answered yet. We have seen similar situations before where developments are proposed with one vision, but the long-term reality looks very different. Units designed for a certain number of occupants end up housing significantly more people. That impacts infrastructure citywide, not just in one neighborhood, and this is where the bigger picture matters. As a teacher in Woburn, I see firsthand the pressures of our community is already facing. Our schools are working incredibly hard to meet the needs of growing and increasingly diverse student populations, often with limited resources, staffing, and space. Development decisions do not happen in isolation. They have ripple effects across the entire city, including our schools, where increased enrollment can directly impact class sizes, services, and the overall learning environment for students. Woburn is already feeling the effects of rapid development. Traffic is increasing. Our schools are under pressure. Emergency services, sewer systems, water infrastructure, and neighborhood roadways all carry the burden of these decisions. This is not about opposing all development. It is about smart development in appropriate locations. Residents choose neighborhoods based on the understanding that zoning protections mean something. If residential neighborhoods can be fundamentally changed through repeated exceptions, public trust in the process disappears. If exceptions are made simply because a project is framed in a certain way, then zoning laws lose their purpose. Residents deserve confidence that the rules protecting their neighborhoods actually matter. I urge the city to think not just about this one proposal, but about what is approving it means for every neighborhood in Woburn moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else in the audience like to speak on this matter? Please step forward.
My name's Megan Wild, and I live at 22 Fisher Terrace. My mom was a resident at New Horizons. She's been there about 4 years. She was a teacher in Woburn since the 60s. I bought her house from her 4 years ago when she moved to New Horizons. She made it very clear she did not want to live with me or my children. So she wanted to be on her own. When she entered New Horizons, she weighed about 90 pounds. She now weighs about 125. She eats really well every day. She has a community. She has friends. She is not just wasting away in a house by herself. She has given a lot to this community as a teacher. My dad was a teacher too in Burlington. If this does stay elderly housing, I think this is wonderful. It's mostly people that are already in Woburn that are looking for their next step. And assisted living is upwards of $12,000 a month, which is out of the reach for a teacher or just a regular person. It's affordable. She's able to pay for it with her pension. And she probably wouldn't be alive now if she did not have this opportunity. I've had a great uncle live there, I think other family members as well. But I'm not talking about how it affects my neighborhood. I'm not in that exact neighborhood. But it affects our community in a positive way. I've never had an issue parking there. I could see why, less parking spaces could be an issue, but it's not like Woburn Village where you have to drive around for 2 hours to get a parking spot. I'm there all the time, all different times of day in the winter to visit her, give her meds, whatever. I've never had an issue parking. She has a car there. She probably shouldn't drive anymore, but she does. And I think that this is a wonderful resource for our residents to have a place to go and still stay in their community. And she has friends there that she's known since she was a kid, that she went to college with, that she's able to keep in contact because they live right down the hall. It's just such an amazing opportunity at a very reasonable price that just isn't around anywhere else. And if that's what it's meant to be and it's going to stay that, I think that there's just no reason to say no to this. Yes, it will be a disruption during construction, and people that live nearby, it's going to be an issue for a little bit. But I don't see it affecting our schools. These elderly people don't have kids going to school. I just think that there's so many positives to this if it's done correctly that, it's a win for our whole community. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. One more. That's it. Take your time.
Would you like to take a minute and stand, just relax for a minute? Everybody? Yeah. Hang on a minute. I'll be with you.
Just a reminder, sir, if you can state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jerry Scally, and I am a lifelong resident of Woburn, owning a home in North Woburn for 70 years. 1 year ago, I made a move to New Horizons, and I am a very happy person there. At that time, my wife, who has since passed, was in need of full-time care. And like so many other seniors, we were in need of a solution. New Horizons has been that solution, operated by the well-respected Cummings Foundation. New Horizons provides the independence and community that seniors need. It provides a varied menu and physical assistance as needed. The efficient, friendly staff provides a warm and safe environment. A variety of excursions are planned weekly, allowing residents an opportunity to go to restaurants, stores, church, and entertainment. See what happens when you grow old? Making changes in life can be different, very difficult. New Horizons has been the answer to that challenge. There's a need for this type of facility everywhere. For these reasons, I will ask that you support the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scally.
My name is Tom Barkalow. My address is 21 Warren Avenue, Woburn. I've been a resident of Woburn for 52 years before needing to move into New Horizons. But we've heard a lot of things about New Horizons and how wonderful it is, and we've heard a lot of things about change and how horrible it is. We know that that Woburn cannot keep growing unless there's some kind of improved housing. So it comes to a balance between change and preserving what we have now. And it's my feeling, and I'm not representing anybody except myself, it's my feeling that this opportunity to get excellent new housing overrides the difficulties that we're going to have and that all of us are going to have due to the changes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Is anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing nobody.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing to the regular meeting of the City Council on June 2nd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
President Torre, I'd like to make a motion for a 5-minute recess, please.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We will return in 5 minutes.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to return to the regular order.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition for 20 Franklin Street for a special permit under section 5.1, subsection 69, section 7.3, and section 15.7 to raise an existing non-conforming three-family structure damaged by fire to construct a nuisance three-family dwelling in the groundwater district at 20 Franklin Street. A committee report from the Committee on Special Permits was received back for action. Further, communication dated April 29th, 2026 was received from John F. Connolly, the chief appraiser, regarding the city council request for 10-year real estate tax assessment. Further communication dated April 29th was received from Mark J. Savati, the city solicitor. Further communication dated May 4th, 2026 was received from Jay Duran, the superintendent of public works. Further communication dated May 5th, 2026 was received from Tom Quinn, the building commissioner, regarding 20 Franklin Street, and was accepted as part of the permanent record during the Committee on Special Permits meeting on May 11th, 2026. Just for everyone's aware, so everyone is aware, Councilor DeMambro cannot vote on this matter, but he may participate, and I believe Councilor Dillon might have some documents to submit.
Thank you. So, if I,
We can ask him, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Go ahead.
thank you. So I will start with some clarification. I think part of what we try to do here at City Council is communicate. Sometimes communication is misinterpreted as trying to push forward a project or in favor of a project. I went in pretty much in depth at the committee meeting, and I wanted to bring the information out to the neighbors as far as what was proposed, pretty clear, 3 townhouses, triplex, 3-family. But what also could go there, and that being a 2-family with an ADU. I always, myself, prefer to have home ownership rather than a rental situation. And when I say that, I'm going to be very careful because there are many, many, many very good landlords in Woburn. But unfortunately, there are some that aren't so good. And I think I could speak for many councilors here that we've worked quite a bit of time and effort dealing with, shall I use the more politically correct term, absentee landlords. So I just want to clarify that I was not pushing for this project. I wanted to get the information out, and I think I did that pretty well at the committee meeting. One of the things since then was I just tried to clarify a little bit about the parking for the ADU. When I did that, I originally hoped that I made it clear that a bus stop would qualify as a transportation center. And after speaking to the 6 or 7 emails, speaking to one of the gentlemen who sent it, and we had a conversation last night, he was opposed to the project, lived in the neighborhood. He didn't have any aware of ADUs. And him and I spoke a bit, and then I explained the ADU concept. Then he sent me an email, it was probably after 9 o'clock, and his idea of what qualifies as a bus stop and not needing the parking at an ADU because you're with half a mile was different from how I understood it. And I understand the confusion, because at 10:30 at night, I'm looking up at .gov, most common questions on ADUs, and I see quite clearly that a bus stop may not qualify to eliminate parking. So I sent out an email to Commissioner Quinn, and I said, look, I need definition on this because I always thought this was the case. And he sent me back Section 35, Protected Use Accessory Dwelling Unit, Statement of Purpose, and under definition, 35-2, it is bus station, a location serving as a point of embarkation for any bus operated by a transit authority. So my point in going on about this is the building commissioner has to enforce something that he has clearly in front of him, yet higher government has it in their paperwork or their publication as something differently than we have. So I know I'm going on about this. I'm going to cut right to the chase. I did receive several emails, in one particular email with a list of folks in the neighborhood that were against this petition. And any of the emails I got directly, I asked if we could have a conversation. And I had a conversation with a couple of them. And I just, again, explained what could happen if this isn't okayed and it's not sold as 3 individual condominiums. Could be a 2-family with an ADU. Could be a 2-family with an ADU, possibly a second ADU. Now, the question's going to come up, well, if it's a condominium, 3-family, the individual owners could also have ADUs. Well, I think we've made the language clear in the conditions that it can't be in the basement. So if they were to do it, it would have to be built separately on the lot, which is a greater expense than doing anything in the basement. With all that said, and again, I went over everything in the committee meeting. I'm not going to go on ad nauseum, but I will say this. I always want to follow my constituents' wishes because they live in the neighborhood. They have a stake in the neighborhood. I've sat in this chair before and voted for the constituents, even though I disagreed with what they wanted. But again, I always want to be the voice of the constituents, and that's why I'm so conflicted on this particular issue. Because if it was my neighborhood and I had a choice between 2 rentals and a possible ADU, possible second ADU, I would want the 3 townhomes with home ownership. But I walked into Chambers not knowing which way I was going to go, and I sit here right now and I'm telling you that I want to hear from my other counselors, I want to hear from the public, and I'm still gathering the information and seeing which way I'm going to vote. This is not an easy one. I have my own thoughts, but again, my constituents are the ones that live in the neighborhood, and that's important to me that I try to fulfill their concerns and address their concerns. So with that said, I thank you, President Toro, and perhaps after I hear from my fellow councilors and the public, I'd like to just make one more comment.
Yeah,
I'll
can we make a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion that we receive all the communications, including those received via email this evening.
Second.
Get a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney Giuliano.
Good evening, Mr. President. Again, for the record, Attorney James Giuliano, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street here in Woburn, on behalf of the petitioner. Councilor Dillon, thank you. Hopefully I can help and address all your concerns that you just mentioned. So, Again, we're under a special application for a special permit pursuant to section 5.1, subsection 69, 7.3, and groundwater protection under 15.7. We have submitted some proposed conditions, and I do have some modified proposed conditions that we added as of today. I just want to thank, again, Councilor Dillon for helping in kind of getting you and getting us there. It has been a long process and a difficult process. Some of the conditions, I'll go on the record as stating they are very onerous, extremely onerous. But again, I think I mentioned this from the beginning of the application process, that my client is looking to do right by the city, is looking to get into the city, is not looking to do any backdoor or sort of smoke and mirrors, things that again, some of the opposition has stated. We're very transparent. I think Councilor Dillon, you can agree with that. We've been transparent from the very beginning, sending all the councilors and, more importantly, the neighbors, all revised plans, all emails, asking them if they wanted to meet, things of that nature that I'll get into in a little bit. But I would go on the record for saying that we've been completely transparent from the start, and we will continue to do that. And I think my proposed conditions are speaking forthwith of that. So, Mr. President, if I just may, for housekeeping, if I may ask the President that he may just keep correspondence or any comments to new comments from the audience, that would be appreciated, just to keep things going. And I know repetition has been, done in the past with committee, and I would just ask that.
Yep, that was the intentions.
Thank you very much. Again, just a little bit of a breakdown. The existing structure now, it's in violation of front, rear, side setbacks. It consists in total of 4,100 square feet of footprint between the garage that's in the deck and the structure, all of which are severely dilapidated, as you are aware. The proposed structure is going to comply with all existing setbacks from 1985, current zoning, except for the front. The front, we are improving it, but that, again, is the only setback that we are not adhering to. And the existing structure is just 300 square feet above the existing footprint. The proposed structure is only 300 square feet larger than the existing structures. So that being said, we've certainly had some people come out to oppose this. We all know some have been legal abutters, some have not and may not be legal abutters to this project. The consideration that I implore the council to look at is whether this is an existing non-conforming three-family and continue to be so under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6. And then if the proposed use in structure is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. That is the test, okay? In that test, you are to determine whether the use and the structure expand upon the three-family status. So there is strict case law on all of this. If you go to Bridgewater versus Chuckrin, Powers versus Barnstable, so on and so forth, I think a lot of Attorney Salvati's rationale and his legal memo is probably configured off of these case laws. There's a prong test that the council, as the authority, has to follow. And I only say that because this isn't something of what people want to label as illegal or not legal, or they don't like it, they do like it. This is about applying the law, and it is the council's job as the authority to apply the law correctly pursuant to Mass General Law, pursuant to our ordinance, and pursuant to case law. So I just implore that is used. Again, denying a lawful, non-conforming use, which we are clearly stating it is, should not be based off of just the house is different, there's two families around it, there's single families around it, or the unpopular, project. You have the law on your side. I'm just asking that you apply that correctly. Now, over the course of this proceeding, there's been much factual and legal concern that's been raised and addressed. We have supplied nothing but evidence, historic records, department comments, and plans. We've submitted a letter from the building commissioner for 1985 concerning that the use is an existing non-conforming three-family dwelling. We have submitted evidence from the assessor showing that the property has been taxed as a three-family within the last 10 years. I actually went back to the assessor's office, and I want to submit additional records going back to 1999 that show the property being taxed as a three-family. So if I may submit that for the record.
Make a motion to receive those and make them part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So based on what I just said, we also have a letter from our current city solicitor indicating that the use as a three-family was legally established and maintained as a three-family to date. The neighbors indicated that the records show a lack of consistency in the use over the years. We're arguing that, some anecdotes were mentioned, word of mouth through certain people who used to play there, who used to live there, so on and so forth. Well, if I also, sorry, Lindsay, if I also may submit for the record, with all the what I would call legal hearsay going around, we pulled 50 years of the census records to show consistency of the legal three-family that I want to submit for the record as well. It is something I didn't do in the past because we didn't think we needed to do it, but I think it's appropriate to submit that for the record as well.
Make a motion to receive the documents and make them part of
Second.
the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That one document.
Thought it was donuts.
Happy Meal.
I wish it was.
They're not munchkins, yeah.
I'm gonna need a Happy Meal.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Well, there's one.
Yeah. No, they should be separate. One's is probably paginated from 24 down.
50 years of tax records.
I got what you're saying now, okay.
Yeah.
One's the other way. Thank you.
Just call me Attorney Tarby. Jeez.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Oh, jeez.
You didn't want me of that.
Sorry. So again, the census records I submitted are very consistent. Yes, there's minor gaps, but there's many reasons, as I stated before. They're not consistent. Sometimes people just don't submit records. There was missing records from '97 that the city did not have. So if you look towards the latter part of the 2000s, you'll see even 5 or 6 families listed in 20 Franklin Street. So based on what we've provided to date, I feel the evidence is overwhelming that this has been a three-family since before the 1963 zoning amendment and continues to be that. So the opposition has argued that the proposed building is too big, yet they went on the record to state that the same building envelope, same height, same footprint would be okay if it was a single family. You cannot logically, obviously, find that the same footprint and size is acceptable if one household occupies it, but yet 3 doesn't. So the argument that too large in art of character is just not not consistent, obviously. And I think they went on the record to say that a single family of that same size would be permissible to them. I believe the neighbor's concern is really not about the bulk, the height, the footprint. It's really about the labeling as a three-family. I think that's what it all comes down to, which, again, you are protected to follow Massachusetts general laws and our ordinance, to follow the prong test, to follow the tests that are situated and laid out in case law, and that is your backbone. I think we've, again, overwhelmingly established, based on the evidence we submitted, that this has been a three-family since before the zoning amendment. I believe denying this solely based on dislike or neighborhood anecdotes would be extremely arbitrary and capricious. I think case law has been consistent with that. We're not extending the use. We're not expanding the use. We're asking that you take a three-family existing house and create another three-family. Because case law, if you read it, has multiple situations where, homeowners are taking a use and making commercial uses, or they're taking one light commercial use and expanding and making it heavy commercial use. Well, we don't have to discuss any of that here because we're taking a three-family and making it a three-family. So very confident that under case law, we're very consistent with what case law has laid out in the past in Massachusetts. So from the inception of this application, again, we have been transparent, as I mentioned, open, attempting to work with the neighbors on many occasions. First, we heard the proposed structure was too close to the lot line. At that point, we withdrew the variance application. The next concern was the integrity of the retaining wall and every portion of it, even the portion that's on my client's property. As I will submit, one of the proposed conditions is to keep the retaining wall up. Not only keep it up, but have a structural engineer maintain and keep on it and make sure that it's up, make sure that it stays integrally safe, and make sure that it doesn't, nothing that my client does, whether through demolition or construction, messes with the integrity of that wall. On separate occasions, we really wanted to find out what the deep concerns were with the project after those two items were addressed. We reached out, asked them, what were they looking for? At one point in very recent correspondence, we got an email saying that they wanted an easement to the property. And again, we were sort of taken back, and maybe that was sort of the leverage that was being looked at. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but we didn't dismiss it. We asked to meet, we asked to discuss, we asked to visit the property with them, and we haven't had a response yet. So I think this is all important, okay? And again, I think it's important because we have been transparent. Our proposed conditions that I will read into the record and summarize into the record are indicative of that transparency. So based on the information we have submitted, the evidence clearly suggests that this was an existing three-family prior to 1963 when the zoning amendment happened that established the uses. In dismissing all the evidence would severely undermine everyone that has put work into this. Our city solicitor, our officers, our assessor, and all the time, and our building inspectors. So that being said, Councilor Dillon, you mentioned, obviously, and I completely agree with you. Going back to describing and going over and revisiting your comment about the vast gap of what could be or what is going to be proposed, I think that gap is vast. So as you mentioned, we can put a two-family with ADUs pretty much as a matter of right. We can create a structure that is a two-family with ADUs with no conditions, no restrictions. That means more bedrooms. That means more living spaces, creating more parking. I mean, I think we've all seen in the city at some point, I know I have, that you have a two-bedroom or three-bedroom, and you have a loft area. You have a 2.5-story that gets converted into a bedroom. You have a basement that gets converted into a bedroom. We are locking in our floor plans. Not only are we locking in the floor plans, we're restricting the floor plans. We're restricting the basement so that it can't be used as an ADU, so that it can't be used as a bedroom. We're creating the parkings, and we're limiting it to small families by having just 3 bedrooms. That should be looked at. So, again, Going back to the bus stop, Councilor Dillon, because you mentioned it, the DHCD in 760 CMR 71 does mention bus stations. I will point out that the city of Lowell is determining that a bus station and interpreting that a bus station is also a bus stop, so they're interpreting it that way. The point I make is that it's all up for interpretation. We don't want anything to be appealed. We don't want anything to be up into gray areas. We don't want to go into that realm of the world. And I think by creating a situation that we're doing in creating a locked-in, a conditioned structure and use, we're doing the city a much better good. And I think you're doing your constituents a much better good because of the vast gap of what could go there by right. And again, it's not a threat, it's just using the law accordingly. It's all by right what we can do. And I would argue that by right use is substantially more detrimental to that neighborhood and to the city of Woburn. So what happens when you create more bedrooms by right? If that does happen, well, the traffic code, as you know, does allow street parking on portions of the street, of Franklin Street. We're trying to remediate that. We're trying to create garage space. We're trying to create driveway space. We're trying to make sure that that does not happen, okay? So at this time, I would like to just read into the record, summarize. I did make enough copies to give to the council.
Motion to accept, make part of permanent record.
Second. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We're not gonna there should be 10. There's 2 pages in each thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Every other department is. Thank you.
Short one? 2? Sorry, thought I had enough. It's on the rest of the days, I know. I also was up late, so I must have miscounted. So. Well, I can summarize them all today. I don't want to read word for word to you, but I can summarize all of them anyhow, which would be more productive. So, condition 1 is obviously the plans of record, as we typically see. Number 2 is the motor vehicles owned by the residents shall be only parked within the garage and paved driveway areas, obviously reducing any cars from being stored on lawns or other areas, which is being done currently. Number 3 is basically no more than 1 commercial vehicle shall be kept stored, a standard condition, and all be registered within the city of Woburn, is number 4. Number 5 is really the crux of what I've mentioned about the retaining wall. So the revised, and a lot of this was submitted last week too as well, but the revised one, condition 5, is relating to a structural engineer being involved with the process. So not only are we going to say that, hey, we should keep this retaining wall up, but the question and the concern that Commissioner Quinn mentioned was just making sure that somebody that was qualified could make sure that the integrity was intact. And we are allowing that and agreeing to have that done. So before, during, and after construction. I know that one of the major concerns from the neighbors was the wall. We are also in condition 6 is relating to the ADUs. So again, no ADU shall be used, no bedroom shall be used in the basement area. Not only that, we are adding a condition that states, to the extent applicable by law, the last condition, that no ADUs will be placed on the premises at all. So again, very onerous, but very compelling that we are committing to doing what we said we would do from the beginning. And I really think that the alternative, and again, there's many alternatives that could happen, are not going to be as good, as restricted as what we're proposing. So I believe if the council does decline to vote in favor of this, that it would be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood and arbitrary and capricious to that degree. So we've presented a lot. I don't want to take up much more time. We've gone over this a few times past hearings, so we'll certainly take any questions the council has.
Council Demers.
Just a clerical issue. I'll make a motion that on the second page of the, conditions, they are now numbered 6 through 11. Is it 11 conditions in total?
That's a form of a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Did you have any comment,
That
Council?
was just a clerical
Thank you.
move I wanted to make.
Council DeMambro.
Attorney Giuliano, I just want to clarify in a brief summary. So this proposed three-family, 3-unit. Individual driveways, correct?
That is correct. Individual 12.
12 feet wide.
That's correct.
If that was to be brought down to a duplex or a two-family, how wide would the driveways be?
Under the ordinance, 224 would be allowed. 224.
So you go 12 foot per unit on the triplex. In the duplex, we go 24 per unit, 48.
So 48, yeah, it would be
So a net
48.
gain of 12 more feet worth of hot top.
We're reducing 12 feet.
So you're reducing it.
That's correct.
These would be owner occupied.
As stated in the condition, yes, they will be sold as condominium units individually.
In which your condition number 10 clearly specifies that you're not looking to seek an ADU. Even though the petitioner could, whoever they sell this unit to, that owner could potentially, by right, go and say, we want an ADU. And I just think that, for me, line item number 10 is the most important. By having the triplex and doing the three-family with the 3 driveways, with less of a driveway by 12 feet, so it's a smaller, parking area. Owner occupied with no ADUs. I've never been a fan of these ADUs. I haven't been. I see the good in them, and I can also see how they can be taken advantage of. And in this particular instance, it concerned me right along that there's a possibility of an ADU. If you go with a two-family, I'm sure, whoever the owner would be, or maybe even the petitioner, would push for an ADU, so there'd be 3 units. I would hate to see a detached ADU on that property as well as a duplex. I just don't think it would fit. I think it would look, it just would look terrible. And I also think it would maximize, the capacity of that property. And I just don't think it would look uniform whatsoever. That being said, with the triplex that I've seen the renderings, I've got all of it here. It's aesthetically appealing. It's all put together. It's nice, neat. It's orderly. I'm big on that. It looks uniform. When you start doing these ADUs, it starts getting chunky. And again, I understand the residents and the neighbors, their concern. But I think they also need to take and keep in mind this looming ADU that could come about down the road. And I don't think that is what you want to see there. And I think that leads into the rental aspect that Councilor Dillon has brought up numerous times. That would concern me. If it was in my ward, that's the number one concern, because these ADUs seem to have a tendency to be rentals. And that's when it that's when the train goes off the tracks. And then the neighbors get really upset. So I can't vote on this, abstained. But I would be in support of this because it's uniform and it's a nice, neat package. It's a beautiful design. You guys put a lot of work into it, as well as the infiltration system. I believe you're going to take and address. There's a storm drain out front that you'll be taking and addressing. Retaining wall in the back that you will be taking and updating and maintaining. I'm assuming in perpetuity. There are upgrades that are going to be taken into consideration. I'm sure our engineering department's going to be weighing in on this, a DPW superintendent. So it's not like this is going to be done willy-nilly. I know they're very strict. I know how they operate. So there will be some serious oversight and guidance. So I would be in favor of this, and I think it's a safe project. I understand that it's new and it's robust and it's larger than what's there, but what is there is a shame. And I don't like seeing properties that look like that, because Woburn really is a very nice, neat, beautiful community. And when you see rundown buildings, burned out buildings, it's a blight, like Councilor Demers has stated in the past. So I would like to see something nice and beautiful and modernized, on that property. So I think you did, a hell of a job putting this all together. I appreciate you and your petitioner's time on this, but I would be in favor of this. Unfortunately, I can't vote on it, but thank you. Thank you.
Council Papalato.
Thank you. Similar to Councilor Dillon, I'm wavering on this one as well. We are here to represent our constituents and the residents out there to make sure that a fair deal is getting put in front of us. I walked in here tonight not wanting to support this. I drove the road, I looked around, I saw the different options there. I saw no other three families. It's just a tight road. It's thin. I feel like I'm in the North End riding through there. But you did a really good job of laying this out, and one option was to try to shoot for a two-family, but as you were talking, a two-family might be worse than a three. I really like to hear from some of the neighbors to hear more of why they're against this, knowing what we know now, because you put a whole bunch of detail together that kind of made me take a step back. So, thank you.
Council Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having driven over there this past weekend, I could say that if this was my ward, that house would have been designated as a public nuisance a while ago. But going forward, looking at what's there, what could possibly go there, I think a three-family with all these conditions definitely is probably the best bet for the neighborhood, whereas it'll be less detrimental compared to having ADUs put in there with no parking or any other things that could occur. But I do have one question through the chair to Councilor Dillon.
Sure.
If you look at condition number 8, which would be new number 9, do you want to tighten up the language on that with hours of operation when they can work?
I think that's already pretty standard with the building commissioner and the inspectional services.
Okay, I just didn't know if you'd want to make it tighter at all.
But thank you.
Okay. All right, but I'll go on record saying I am in support of this tonight, so thank you.
Thank you. Council Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm going to support it, but I do have a concern about condition 10. So I think, if the intent is to be sure that there are no accessory dwelling units attached or detached, when we get to shall be constructed, established, maintained, or permitted on the property, at that point, we should say in perpetuity, period. Not unless authorized by a subsequent amendment or approval from the appropriate permitting authority. That's just a big escape clause,
That's fine.
right?
Yeah.
So that would be my only suggestion. I'll
just-
make it in the
Can
form
I
of
just
a...
say, it's now number 11 though, correct?
Oh, is it number 11? I heard that we were adding a number 11, but,
No, the numbers were changed, so I just want to
Okay.
be clear.
So
it's-
is
it's
this
the la-
number
it's the
11
final
then?
one here that you're talking
Okay.
about? Okay.
so the recommendation I would make, and I'll make it in the form of a motion, is that the first sentence now read, the petitioner's approval is expressly limited to the construction and use of a three-family residential structure on the locus. No accessory dwelling unit, ADU, whether attached or detached, shall be constructed, established, maintained, or permitted on the property in perpetuity, period. And then strike the rest of the sentence, which says, unless authorized by a subsequent amendment or approval from the appropriate permitting authority.
I'll second that.
The motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Council Mercer Bruin, are you all set?
Yes, I am, thank you.
Council Demers?
Just a point of clarification, Attorney Giuliano. So currently on the lot size, would there be enough lot size footage, like square footage on the lot for a detached ADU, even on the three-family proposal?
It's a big lot, and there would be.
Buildable and non-conservation protected or anything like that?
No, there's no conservation, there's no restrictions. We may have to move the infiltration system, but with the square footage, there would be, yeah.
So this is a concession based on three-family, even though the lot size is big enough, the owner could have petitioned for an ADU if this condition does not exist.
We could have.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention as well is, in previous discussions, there was question over the, what an entrance or an exit would be. So I'd assume, even with the idea that if this were to be a two-family and there'd be two ADUs down below, you'd be having the entrance and entrance on the front with the emergency egress in the rear. Just based on my limited knowledge of what would probably work best there.
Yeah, so correct, so we would.
So there would be no alternative access or, creating a driveway down a hill, because I know the slope of that property is pretty steep. It wouldn't be, like, what I'm trying to just say is
Yeah.
that the accommodation for the parking would be near impossible, even if the concession was being made by the property owner to add additional parking.
In an alternative situation?
In an
In
alternative
an alternative situation, yeah.
Because I'm thinking what could happen, because, more often than not, we get caught sometimes not thinking what could happen if we do things. I mean, I think with the ADU piece being forced down our throat by the state, they probably didn't think it out as much, and how it could hurt communities like Woburn, and how now every discussion about a special permit or a use on a property for residential is now going to be a noun, a verb, and an ADU. Because we're going to be asking about when it could happen, or whether that property could access it. Because in our minds, we have to say to ourselves, oh, this might be a one-family, or this might be a proposed two-family, but what about the ADU? And it's technically, there's really going to be no such thing as a one-family in Woburn anymore, depending upon if you have a qualifying lot size. And it's unfortunate that the state went that route, but it's the reality that we're living in here. I just think, if you don't, like, Attorney Giuliano has brought up good points in the sense of, the liability that this council would put themselves in to get this overturned at court, the neighbor's liability as well. In land court, if our decision is based solely on the fact that we're trying to relitigate whether this is a two-family or a three-family, when by law, what we have in front of us determines that it's a three-family. Not to mention the fact that the neighbors would then be susceptible to getting a land court agreeing with the petitioner, allowing the three-family use, and then these conditions go out the window. Because I don't remember any land court making a ruling where the conditions that were imposed by the city council are part of the grant from the land court. I might be new to that realm of understanding of the land law and the uses, but they could basically come back and say, no, you can basically do whatever you want there, and I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff and not the city. So these are other aspects that we all have to keep in mind as well. We've done this, multiple petitions we've had and my early going as a city councilor came back to us due to us overextending our authority under the special permit zoning and statutes. So, I mean, this has been a tough decision because I have a hard time not understanding where the neighbors are coming from, but I also don't want it to be something where we made everybody feel good tonight by saying no, and then something even worse came down the road by right, because the by right risk is real here. So I'm in favor of the three-family. I think, the amount of work that's been done, the accommodations that are being made, and, the retaining walls being taken care of. I noticed that. I was CC'd on that email, the back and forth. I think, the petitioner has gone out of their way to make this process open and accepting to what the neighbors were looking at. Concerns that were raised, there's a lot of general ones. Parking on public streets in Woburn is, it's the reality of it. When the streets in Woburn were built, families had one car, if any. Now every kid has a car in the house, So it's unfortunate that you can't grab the total consensus, but I mean, it's impossible to make everyone happy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Councilor Dillon.
Yeah, I apologize to my co-councilors for jumping the gun earlier there. But again, I think everyone has done their homework and certainly listened on the committee meetings. And I'm anxious to see what the public has to say and try to get this resolved one way or another. Thank
That
you.
being said, can we have a motion to open the public
So
hearing?
moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Before any members of the public come up, please make sure you speak into the microphone, address your questions to the council, and limit your questions or your comments to new matters and also to any questions, as this has been something that has been discussed on multiple occasions. So there's no need to reiterate some of the information that's already been discussed.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Maureen Webster, and I live at 25 Franklin Street, directly across from the proposed project. I'm sorry I haven't been at a meeting prior to this. I winter in Florida, and I just got back 2 weeks ago. But I've been in the loop, and I just haven't been here to speak in opposition to this in person. But I have lived at 25 Franklin Street for 42 years. I love my neighborhood. I care deeply about the neighborhood and its character. I'm here tonight to respectfully oppose the proposed three-family development in an R2 zone. My concerns are primarily about the density, parking, traffic, and whether this project truly fits the character and scale of the existing neighborhood. Franklin Street is made up of largely older homes with spacing, yards, and parking that reflect the intent of an R2 residential area. A three-family structure would significantly increase the intensity of use on the lot compared to surrounding properties. Parking is a major concern. Even if the proposal technically meets the minimum parking requirements, on paper, the real-life impact is very different. Three-family homes typically generate multiple vehicles per unit. Visitor parking, delivery traffic, and overflow parking onto the street. Franklin Street is also an extremely narrow street and is already heavily used as a cut-through street by drivers trying to avoid traffic on the surrounding main roads. In fact, parking is not allowed on either side of the street because of how narrow it is. That alone demonstrates the limitations and safety concerns that already exist in this roadway. Adding additional vehicles from a three-family development could create further congestion and safety concerns for residents, pedestrians, and emergency vehicles trying to pass the street safely. I am also concerned about the overall size and scale of the proposed building relative to nearby homes. The project appears more crowded and more intense than what currently exists in this neighborhood and does not seem consistent with the spirit and the intent of an R2 zoning. The neighborhood has a strong residential and historic character, and many residents have invested decades in maintaining their homes and properties. Development should respect the existing streetscape and not set a precedent for overbuilding in this area. After living here for over 4 decades, I believe I've seen firsthand what this street can realistically support, and I respectfully ask the council to carefully consider whether this proposal is truly appropriate for this location. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Please step forward.
Liz Pasek again, 16 Franklin Street. I don't know where to start. There's a lot discussed. So, you know, I'm just going to say what I said. You guys all got the email about what my concerns were and stuff. And, you know, I have certified copies of the years that do not show 3-family usage. And there were 2 big gaps. So I didn't look at the big box of records, but I have a copy for here for if you want to look at them. You know, there's 3 years in the late 70s and there's 9 years in the 80s. So, you know, again, I don't know what's in the box. That's what I was given, and that's certified.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept
For the
that as part
record.
of the permanent record.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
You know,
Just hold on 1 second, ma'am, while the clerk passes out those documents.
I just made 1 copy, I'm sorry. I don't have that much paper and ink. So they're stapled together. So the first one is 3 years, and this one is, so that's 1 copy. So, yeah, one is 3 years, one is 9 years. And it did not look to me like they were 3 families there. There was all 1 and 2s. And, you know, I know comments were made, you know, there's,
She needs to keep notes.
sorry.
It's all right.
All set?
You good?
Okay.
I'm good, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
So, you know, I know comments have been made about what's authoritative and what's not in all this, and I don't really want to dwell that much time on it, but, you know, I have to chuckle because I finally did get to the source that how this whole Paris letter and what it was based on and stuff, and actually it was the owner, the person who was buying the house, it was his closing attorney who actually pulled voting poll records, and they were from like 59, 60, 61, skipped 62, but then 63. Those went, there's a handwritten note by Ned, and I think that was the former city solicitor, Ned Robinson, maybe. So that they looked at that and said, hey, you know, it was after the 3-family usage was after, it was before the zoning change code in 1963, so it established that it was a nonconformity. So that's what that whole mystery was. All those pieces kind of came together. Because I think I was like, I don't know what happened kind of thing, but anyway, that's how it started. So those polling records were used to establish the clock as far as saying this is a nonconformity. And, you know, the annual street lists are mandated by law. They're used for lots of different purposes, and usage is one of them. It's not the be-all and end-all, but, you know, there's no certificate of occupancy. There's no building permits showing that it was converted, but these do show gaps, and one is 3 years and one is 9 years. And I know that they have problems because they're done in January and things change throughout the year, but they sure take a pretty good snapshot of who lived there over time. And you know, when you look at those, like, this isn't like 1 year or 2 years. This was a 3-year chunk and then a 9-year chunk when it's clearly listed as 1 and 2 families living there. So usage is still a question to me. I haven't had the luxury of looking at the box from all these, but that's what I looked at and based my comments on. And like I say, they were relied by the city of Woburn, you know, as polling records from before. So. Be that as it may. And the fact that there were, you know, multiple 1-family permits issued, you know, it just kind of adds to the whole thing. So I don't really think, I think that there is a problem with that, and I think it's a little sad to think that any witness statements from neighbors would be dismissed out of hand because, you had basically an owner trying to sell the house. Her mother had died, and Elizabeth McEwen gives a statement to Commissioner Paris and says, it was used as a three-family. It was literally days before the house closed, so you talk about questioning motivation and stuff. You could certainly cast, dispersions on that too. But anyway, it sounds like you've made your decision up on that. I disagree with it, but hey. I think we heard earlier tonight some really good points from the Church Street project. And then again on the Cummings Street, folks. It seems like this is the new trend, incorporating 5.1 parentheses 69 in with 7.3 as far as getting around the whole, basically zoning codes for nonconformity and rebuilding off the footprint. And wow, that guy who spoke, he was really, really good. I wish I was taking notes. But basically, it seems like it's a free ticket to get out of jail free card kind of thing as far as meeting the zoning codes. To build off the footprint this is huge. I have trouble hearing a little bit sometimes when people talk fast, and I might have misheard, but from the plans, the most recent plans I looked at, this new house, this three-family house, is 4.5 times larger than the original house. This is huge. This isn't like a couple feet off the foundation. This is a ginormous project, and it just it bothers me a lot. We talked about size, and I have to say, I remember having a conversation, I think it was with you, Mr. Mercer, on the first time, and you were saying, you were the one who posed the question, well, what happens if it's a one family and it was as big? And I do remember saying, yeah, if it's legal and it's conforming, I mean, how can you not, allow it? But this is something that is non-conforming, and it is just huge. So I think the word size and density, I've learned, mean two different things. So that was my error, I think, and maybe I would have incorporated that into my answer with you. The density of this house has me very, very concerned, and a lot of our neighbors very, very concerned. The parking is key. There just isn't enough. To have one space in a garage with a small driveway for three families is just inadequate. Mr. Chili's was over the other day. We were looking at the wall, chatting, and he was looking at the grassy strip along the house and said, well, we can put 3 cars there. And I said, isn't that the setback? Because on the plan, it looked like where the old garage is and where the new wall starts, maybe it's like halfway through the garage. So I was thinking maybe there's space there. But he's standing in the grass going, we could just put it right here. And I'm like, oh boy, we're going to be parking in setbacks again. And we've been at Franklin Street for over 38 years. And we live next to this house in the last 20 years. It's been very interesting with the parking. So I think that that's one of our biggest concerns against the three-family, with the hopes that hopefully a duplex, a two-family wouldn't be as big, but certainly, as you heard, the driveways would be bigger. Maybe there would be 2-car garages, for each. And that's huge. You just heard Maureen talk about, we're a narrow street, we're two-way and no parking either side. And, boy, Flag Street and Plimpton Street are getting slammed with the overflow parking. So I think that the density is really the concern. I am very concerned with the using this, the 5.1, to kind of say we can just build off the footprint. It doesn't seem like that's happened so far in the city. And it sounds like there's a lot of projects in queue coming along, getting ready to use it. And that has me very concerned about the precedent that this is a yes vote is going to send to the rest of these projects and the future, because I think that this is simply too dense. The counselor points to the large size of the lot. Most of I would say, probably less than 50% of the lot is where the house is going to be. The rest of it, again, is unusable. And even, you've seen the people who drove by, there's a slopey driveway. Even the past tenants with the snow and stuff, it was quite a slope. So That's a big, big concern. ADUs, I don't know what the heck to make of them. It just seems like we're in a new phase. They're a hot thing. Everyone's talking about them. So when it comes to detached ADUs, it could be for a 3-family, it could be for the 2-family. They could happen. We can't stop them. And, as far as adding them or outlawing them, I should say, they're by right. So I'm not quite sure how legally that works. Is it going to be like in the deed and then has to be enforced once the house is sold and flipped and, you got your condos and you're going to have your condo documents? Is that going to even really be allowed legally to put into a condo document that you can't have an ADU if it's by right? I don't understand how that works. I'm not the lawyer, but every other lawyer I've talked to about this is saying you can't outlaw them. So I don't know how a deed and then a subsequent, you would have to go past that and into the condo documents, how that would be stopped. So, I'd like not to think that there's going to be, condos out in the backyard or developed, and certainly would take some construction to put a new door and a egress into the basement unit and stuff. But I think that the 2-family, we're hoping would be more likely to be owner occupied from what little I've read, and I'm not the real estate expert, but we can't control who buys these and who ultimately lives in them. We'd like to think that they're going to be owner occupied, but we can't limit that. We can't say, hey, you just bought this condo and maybe you live in it a year and go, I'm going to rent it. I mean, we can't stop that. We can't choose who buys these. So, it just seems like the 2-family route is probably more likely to have a family. It could not. It could have a bunch of unrelated people renting rooms. I mean, we've seen that in other situations. You can't stop that. So I think that the parking that would be allowed with a 2-family is huge. It is also in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. We're all single and 2-family houses on Franklin Street. And I think that's, I'd like to see it not be on every inch of the property. But again, if it is legal, to code, whatever, I can't stop that. But I just think that this 5.169 to increase from a 1,500 square foot house to over 7,000 square feet is a huge jump. And this is what's being allowed by using this. So it's the density. And the off-street parking we've talked about. Maureen talked about the traffic, and the pedestrian traffic is significant. We have historically always had school bus stops, lots of kids, bikes, whatever. It is a pedestrian neighborhood, and we can walk everywhere. It is a great neighborhood. But it is kind of a joke when we're talking with neighbors and stuff, and it's, later in the afternoon, it's like, oh, watch out, don't, be careful crossing the street. I mean, the traffic is that crazy, during that time of the day. So it is significant. And, I also think that the noise coming from a 3-family house versus a 2-family, who knows? It depends on the people who live in it. But again, we've lived next to the 3-family where there were only 5 to 6 people at most over the years living in it. And I'll tell you, we knew pretty much everyone's business. We knew the happy times, we knew the angry times, and we knew just living. I mean, the noise, it's real, it's there. So I think that those are the big issues from my notes. Let me just go back over this. All right, we did density. I goofed a little. It's not size, it's density. I think that I think that, everyone who has seen the picture of the 3 units, no one's had a positive reaction. I'm sorry, the people who are for it. It is too much, and like I say, it does not provide the parking that's realistic that goes with 2 and 3 bedroom units. We appreciate the efforts, to try to scale it back, but really what we were hoping for was a 2-family. As far as the wall, we appreciate that. You have to understand, that little wall that everyone's talking about, came out of our pocket when we had no money because we were losing our big wall. So yeah, I'm sorry, it was a little thing, but it was big to us. We don't want to lose that. Let me just double check other sheet. So, I know the assessor records and stuff were, go back, but again, it's 1999, so my problem, the years that are problems are in the 70s and the 80s, so that predates that. But from my interpretation, again, the usage is not continuous, and that's significant.
Bless you.
And that's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike Pasek, 16 Franklin Street, direct the butter. If I knew this place was going to be AC, I would have wore pants, so my apologies. Interesting hearing tonight's testimonies. A lot of different words, some new ones. One of the big new ones I heard today was precedent. This would be a precedent. And that wasn't a word that came from the peanut gallery. That came from you guys on this topic. This is a precedent-setting vote tonight. If you take this vote, you open this town up to this type of development all over town. Do I want a three-family staring across my driveway? No. A nice duplex. Fine. The size, Attorney Giuliano says this 4,100 square foot coverage is only 300 square foot bigger than the existing property. That's not true. That number encompasses the garage, the deck, and the existing house, and the existing pavement. So, no, that's not what happens. But tonight, if you take this vote, you set a precedent, you open a door you cannot close. And you have provided the reasons why it can't be closed. Okay? So just think about that. You have zoning codes for a reason. R2 means R2, right? When we moved in August of 1987, Mary Mantini had a tenant. In a room, her kitchen was divided, as I said before, by a piece of plywood that is still there, right? That's all that was in there. Those are the parts of the years that were covered by the document Liz gave you. There was a 9-year gap in the 80s where that was not used as a three-family. And to say three-family again, the basement had a toilet in it. That's the third family room, okay? So if you wanted to walk the property, maybe get a better sense of the equivocation that's going on, please be free. But this is not taking a three-family and building a three-family. This is taking a single family that was built as a single family, used for decades as a single family, got petitioned up by family to help out family and friends, fell into abandonment as a three-family, then came back into use under a new owner. So there was a gap there. But again, my sense in reading the council's faces is that you're going to sweep this through. Giuliano will get his fee. Kevin, I don't blame Kevin at all. He's a developer.
Just
He's
keep
doing
your
what developers do.
comments to the council, please.
Yep. Okay. Rob, I don't blame the developer at all. He's doing what he's doing. He's supposed to do. That's how he makes money. But this is precedent setting. You really need to take a hard look at how this is going to affect the rest of the city. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Seeing no one. Attorney Giuliano?
Yeah, just a couple things. Just hearing the neighbors speak, I think what we're seeing is a lot of conjecture, and what I mean by that is that, it's a single family, it's an R2 zoning district. If the council was to abandon Massachusetts General Laws 40A, Section 6, which is designated exactly for this situation, there's issues. And I think, obviously, as far as the appeals courts and the land courts have shown those issues, right? It's not a stigma. Having an existing nonconformity is not a stigma. It should never be a stigma. The law was written exactly for these situations. By voting this in, it doesn't mean you're just allowing every single nonconformity to go through. There's rules, there's guidelines. So I don't agree with that. The density, currently the zoning allows for 25% on density that they mention. We are at 19 if you look at the plans, so we're well below that. And as far as parking, the neighbor is correct. We can park on the grass if we wanted to. If we wanted to pave it, the ordinance in Woburn allows 5 feet from a lot line. And that's just the law. That's the ordinance. We're not asking to go above and beyond anything. So, that being said, I'll leave my comments for the personal attack on the floor and hope the people can respect the process going forward. So, that being said, again, I have nothing further to add with that.
Thank you. We have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
What is the will of the council?
I make a motion that the petitioner be denied.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second by roll call.
Roll call.
Clerk Higgins, can you clarify what a yes or no vote would be? If voting yes,
On the motion.
yes,
Public hearing closed?
Yes.
yes.
Thank you, sorry.
On the motion, the proper procedure when making a motion to deny a special permit would be to include findings as to why the city council is denying the permit. So by denying this right now, without making those findings for the purpose of denial, we'll literally just hand it to the petitioner and screw the neighbors because we're letting this go to land court without findings. We've already done this before. We've had a permit before us where we denied it out of hand without doing the findings. And it came right back at us from land court, and Jackson Lumber got exactly what they wanted. So I only ask that if we're gonna do this the way we're doing it right now, can we at least follow the proper procedure? That's all I'm asking.
Based
Through
on-
the chair to Councilor Demers, perhaps you could add a finding.
I think that, would
I'm gonna vote against the motion.
Okay. So,
you like to,
So right now, there is a motion and a second on the floor to deny the special permit by roll call.
Clerk Higgins, if Council Mercer Bruin wanted to amend her motion to
You
include,
would have to, I think to make it cleaner, I think that whoever seconded it has to withdraw, and so it does.
I withdraw
Councilor
my
Spruill.
second.
If that's what they want to do, and then you can have a discussion about findings. However, the public hearing is closed, so you cannot have input from anyone in the audience.
through the chair, I'm not as concerned about findings as Councilor Demers is, but at the end of the day, I'm sure we could come up with a finding that it, you withdrew.
I withdraw my.
So I'd like to make a finding that,
I'm sorry, I just want to, so there was Councilor Dillon.
Withdrew my
His
second.
motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just have to write that down so I don't get it wrong for the record.
Thank you.
And then I just want to confirm, Councilor Mercer Bruin, you're also withdrawing your motion?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
we have a new motion?
I'm going to make a new motion that the petition be denied with the following finding. That is out of character for the current neighborhood as it exists.
So we have a motion.
I'm
Is-
sorry.
Yeah.
Can I want to work it. Out of character for the current,
Neighborhood as it exists.
just let me get that, yeah, thank you.
I assume we need a second.
As
Yeah, well, once-
exists, correct?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on that.
We have a motion and a second, and we're going to
Roll
vote by
call.
roll call. A yes vote would, Clerk Higgins?
With the one finding.
Mhm.
So a yes vote is to deny the petition, a no vote is
A yes vote would
A
deny.
yes vote would deny, a no vote would,
be against the motion.
yeah, be against the motion.
Yes vote would deny the petition.
Yes would deny, a no would just be against the denial.
I just want to
So-
remind everybody that Counselor DeMambro cannot vote in the affirmative or negative on this. I'm assuming abstaining.
Roll call.
May I call the roll, or did you have more discussion?
Yes, no, that's a, yes, please.
Wait, could I'm not clear on what these votes are.
So this is, the vote that we're going to be taking is to, is based on Council Mercer Bruin's request to deny the petition. So if
With the
you.
one finding.
With the one finding that it's uncharacteristic for the neighborhood, I believe. So if you vote yes, you are supporting her motion. If you vote no, it's just a vote against her motion.
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Thank you.
Council Mara,
No.
Council Demers,
Opposed.
Council Dillon,
Yes.
Council DeMambro.
Abstained.
Thank you. Council Ferrulo,
Opposed.
Council Mercer Bruin,
Yes.
Council Papalato,
Opposed.
Council Viola,
Opposed.
President Toro.
Opposed.
Motion fails.
Do we have another motion?
Make a motion under 7.3, the finding that the proposed change will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood as required under the special permit code.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second
Roll
by
call.
roll call.
Hold on, just- I got paper ready.
Could we get clarification on what these votes mean here?
I
Yes.
will, let me just write it down first.
I will, do you mind, Clerk Higgins? I can explain it to him.
Oh, yes, go right ahead.
So this vote now is to pass the petition.
Nope,
No.
I'm sorry, it's
it's
to,
to approve the finding, the 7.3 finding, that it's
Sure.
not such a substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
approve
Me
the
paraphrasing.
findings that the petition is not substantially more detrimental.
Okay.
Then there would be a
7.3.
subsequent.
May I?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Councilor Amara,
Aye.
Council Demers,
Aye.
Council Dillon,
No.
Council DeMambro,
Abstained.
Council Ferrulo,
Aye.
Council Mercer Bruin,
Opposed.
Council Papalato,
No.
Council Viola,
Aye.
President Toro.
Aye.
I believe that's a simple majority motion for the 7.3 finding.
Clerk Higgins, can I,
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for yes, 3 for no, 1 for abstain, but it's only for the finding, so I think that motion passes. And then,
And I'll make a motion that the special permit be granted with the 11 conditions.
Council Papalato, we have a motion and a second, but Council Papalato, this is now a motion that the special permit be granted
Roll call.
by roll call.
with the conditions as
Yes,
amended.
please call the roll.
Madam Clerk, what's the necessary?
6.
So,
Supermajority.
hold on. So this is special permit grant, this is a motion to approve the special permit with the conditions as amended. And you had a question?
6 is the number, right? I'm not sure where we're headed.
If the petition were to pass,
I need 6
Based-
votes to pass for special permit. Because I don't think this qualifies for any of the exemptions.
Thank you.
Okay.
you can call the roll.
I can call the roll now?
Yep.
Okay, to grant the special permit with the conditions as amended, Councilor Amara,
Aye.
Council Demers,
Aye.
Council Dillon,
No.
Council DeMambro,
Abstained.
Council Ferrulo,
Aye.
Council Mercer Bruin,
Opposed.
Council Papalato,
No.
Council Viola,
Aye.
President Toro.
Aye.
Petition fails.
Thank you.
No problem.
I just need a second to.
Yep.
Sorry, I just want to try to get organized before I move on.
First lawsuit.
Okay, next item on the agenda is nothing under unfinished business from previous meeting. Under public safety and license, the petition by the Shamrock Running Club for a special event permit was received ought to pass from the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Motion report be adopted.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On the petition by Woburn Kiwanis for a special event permit for Flag Day, committee report received ought to pass.
Motion the
action.
committee report be
Second.
adopted.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On the petition for a taxi cab license for Checker Cab of Woburn, a committee report was received off to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On the petition for renewal of livery license for Checker Cab of Woburn, a committee report was received off to pass.
Same action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The petitions for renewal of second-hand dealers and second-hand collectors licenses for Teresa's Closet and Manzi Marketplace. Committee report was received off to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Communication dated May 12, 2026 was received from Jason Wright, Eversource Energy, regarding Burlington to Woburn Supply Initiative project briefing.
Make a motion the communications received made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then
Make a motion that the matter be laid on the table until the regular meeting of the council on June 16th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
next item on the agenda is communication dated May 12, 2026 from His Honor the Mayor Michael P. Concan, reappointing John Sawyer to the Woburn Board of Cemetery Commissioners.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Personnel.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The communication dated May 12, 2026 was received from His Honor the Mayor Michael P. Concan related to an appointment of Chris Crawford for the Woburn Board of Cemetery Commissioners.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is an order that the City Council suspend Rule 22 of the Rules of Orders of the City Council in order to have a committee meeting on June 1st, 2026.
Make a motion that order be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry, just reading.
Can I
Next.
sorry, Clerk Higgins, can I clarify my vote?
On the Rule 22.
Yes. On the prior matter.
On the Rule,
On
we're
the-
already we're on Rule, I haven't moved on to the next item. So is it Rule 22 or the one before that?
I'm sorry, I apologize, I want to rescind, can I,
Make a motion to reconsider.
yes, I would like to make a motion to reconsider.
So I'll make that motion since the chair can't, I don't, right?
Second.
Correct.
A motion and a second? I would like to do I just have to state it, Clerk Higgins?
We're gonna call the vote.
Technically, Joe reconsidered his, Counselor Demers reconsidered his vote because the person has to be in the affirmative.
Correct.
Someone in the affirmative side, the winning side.
So we
I'll
we
defer.
vote on them.
I'll defer to,
So it's, the vote is back opened.
yes, the vote is back open. It's back on the floor, President Toro, if you have comments you'd like to.
Yeah,
I'm just going to explain. So for procedurally, President Toro could not reconsider his vote because he was in the negative and he was by himself and he was not in the winning side. So someone on the winning side, because the only one that could reconsider the vote on the matter.
And I
Therefore,
made the
Councilor
motion.
Demers did that. It sounds like President Toro wants to change his vote.
yes.
Oh,
I was
On a Rule
voting, I was one step ahead, I'm sorry, so. Councilor Dunn.
On what matter?
On
Rule 20, the order for Rule 22.
Rule 22.
May I step in for a second?
Please.
I believe President Toro voted no on a matter that was not yet called.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, it
So
was my
wasn't-
mistake, I was one ahead.
So he would like to reconsider his vote, so
That's
it's not a no vote on the Rule 22 to allow us to actually conduct the orders of the city council next week.
That is correct.
Thank you.
That was a mistake
for the-
on my end, so.
Thank you for the
Procedurally,
clarification.
I did not know how I would reconsider my vote. Yes,
Quite all right.
exactly.
Quite all right.
So, we need a new vote on that matter, Clerk Higgins?
And I will make,
There was already a motion and a second, it's back on the floor.
Yes.
yes,
So we have a motion and a
make a motion
second.
that the order be adopted.
Already on the floor. Just
Okay.
say-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
There was no against on that one, correct?
No.
Correct.
Okay, just making
Thank
sure.
you.
Next item on the agenda is the order requesting the Woburn Public Schools provide names, positions worked, and corresponding salaries of all Woburn public employees as part of the budget submission.
You want to speak on
Yes,
this
I do,
matter?
Mr.
Council
President.
Viola?
Thank you, Mr.
Go ahead.
President. So this order was filed to ensure full transparency throughout all city employees and departments. The past 4 years during our budget hearings, during the finance committee meetings, we've had to request this materials, and it was late getting it, but we did get it. But also, according to public record status, in Massachusetts, any record made or received by a government entity is presumed to be public. An employee's name, title, salary, and department are expressly considered public records. School and municipal budgets, because they are paid with taxpayer funds, individual teachers' names and their corresponding salaries can be disclosed in public budgets, payroll documents, or online transparency portals, such as the state's CTHRU payroll database run by the Comptroller's Office. This is all information from the Public Records Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Subsection 7, Subsection 26. Let's not be the exception, let's be the standard. So, thank you.
Council Mercer Bruin?
There was a member of the school committee in the audience. I don't know if she wants to speak, but I'd make a motion to permit it if...
I don't
Never
think
mind.
she's looking to.
Yeah, never mind.
I believe she's all right. Mr. President,
Yes, Council.
I understand Councilor Viola's intent on this. I really do. As a matter of fact, he was right when he said that we did receive an electronic version of the budget that include teachers' names. It wasn't made part of the permanent record in our meeting or gone through the clerk's office, but we did receive that. I think his point with this matter is that we shouldn't have to be requesting these items from the school committee. Now, when I was on the school committee, they seemed to have no problem putting all the teachers' names in the budget. And, you know, I've heard from multiple constituents on this issue, and I just can't get my head around the fact that it was what we used to do before, and we've gotten less transparent to make their life easier when it comes to union matters or grievance matters. And that's what I've heard. That's what I've been told. I gotta take the word for it. So coming in here tonight, I probably wasn't gonna support this order, but I plan on supporting it now because I don't see the negative connotation that would occur in Woburn when every firefighter, every police officer are in there. I remember when the Times used to put the top 100 employee salaries in the newspaper.
correct.
Where everybody's overtime was made pretty public.
Yep.
All right? So I think if the school department is gonna be asking for such a large portion of our budget, with increases over the past several years that have made the average taxpayer hurt a little bit, I think it does not hurt to have everybody's name in the book as it should be. That's just my thoughts.
Council Dillon?
I absolutely agree. Here it is. Everyone else's is in here. Why not theirs?
And from the chair, Council Viola, I do agree with what you're looking to do. I certainly think that instead of it just listing teacher, admin assistant, things like that, having the actual position of the teacher, I'm not in support of having the names. I don't think it serves any necessity. I understand every other councilor's viewpoint on how the rest of the budget goes, but just my 2 cents, and I'll leave it at that. With that, Councilor Ferrullo.
Just briefly, I had a long conversation with some of the new members of the school committee this afternoon, working toward some resolution of this on a voluntary basis. We also have conflicting ordinances that need to be addressed if we're going to take this stance, because by ordinance, it's eliminated. I agree with all that's been said, and for 38 years, my name was probably in the top of the Times list. I was very happy about that. I lived this for 38 years of my life with my name there, so that's where I'm at. There's been some discussion this afternoon in an attempt to reach a resolution. Not sure we're going to get there.
Council Viola?
Just so we know, going forward, I will be filing a change to that ordinance, so, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So do we have a motion?
Madam Clerk, could I ask for a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Hold on. So this is a roll call vote to adopt the order for the school department. Council Mara. Council Demers.
Aye.
Council Dillon.
Aye.
Council DeMambro.
Aye.
Council Ferrullo.
Aye.
Council Mercer Bruin.
Yes.
Council Papalato.
Aye.
Council Viola.
Aye.
President Toro.
Opposed?
Motion carries.
And Councilor Dim, would you like to take a second? Councilor Demers.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd just like to take a moment of personal privilege to offer a moment of silence to a former member. Robert Gonzalez recently passed away, the father of former Councilor at Large Joanna Gonzalez and a member of the City Council himself. He lived quite the extraordinary life. He's a beloved husband, father, teacher, mentor, and friend. He had many hobbies. He was a member of the service, so I just think that in honor of his memory this evening, I'd like to have a moment of silence and adjourn in his memory, if I may.
Sure.
Make a motion to adjourn in honor of former Councilor Robert Gonzalez.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.